20. Five-man pressure this time, but it's picked up. Holmes loaded up, going deep, has Thornton again. This time he's got it. Touchdown. Third time's a charm, Tom.
Mahomes magic once again at home.
That would be where the magic would end, unfortunately, for the Chiefs in that game against the Eagles. They fall in week 2, now 0-2 on the season, getting ready for the New York Giants next Sunday night. It is The Zone here on a Monday. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes and Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. We will talk with Field Yates coming up about 11:30 or so. Get his thoughts on the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, the goings-on around the league, teams that are 0-2, responding from that and making the playoffs, or teams that are 2-0 and would rather be in the Chiefs situation. I'm going to guess there's at least one team that's undefeated that would rather have the Chiefs situation moving forward, and I'm going to guess the Chiefs being 0-2 would rather have their situation moving forward than a team that's 2-0. Because their quarterback is healthy, and the 2-0 team's quarterback is out for 3 months, which we can get into and talk about and discuss as this season progresses, and maybe through today or the rest of this week or whenever. But it ain't the best situation to be in. It ain't the worst situation to be in either. So we'll talk about a lot of what we saw yesterday. 913-381-0810, the Monday after a Chiefs game. We do have open phone lines if you want to weigh in. 913-381-0810. Take your phone calls. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show to join us. Pull up the text line as you guys weigh in on things you saw, reaction from the game, feeling good, feeling bad, issues from the game, positives from the game, whatever you want to talk about. 913-381-0810 is the phone number. 913-912-4810 is the text line. My takeaway from this game, and maybe it's shaded by the fact that I had the Eagles winning the game. I picked 23-20, so I was wrong on what the final would be. But I thought it was an uphill task for the Chiefs, and I know they wanted it pretty badly. I think the Eagles have some of the best personnel in the NFL. They're the reigning champs. And the Chiefs had their troubles defensively in the first game against the Chargers. And the travels and all of those things back from Brazil and how that will affect a team, and not having a full off week while the Eagles played at home the night before and didn't have the 23 hours of travel in a matter of 3 days. Some of those things going into that. And again, an unknown of how the defense would respond from week 1. And an unknown of how the offense would look without Xavier Worthy. You've had a full week to prep without Xavier Worthy because, odds were you knew he wasn't going to play, even though practicing was quite the surprise. But I didn't go into this game saying, man, I think the Chiefs are going to win, and if they don't, it's a real issue with this team. I went into the game saying, I don't think the Chiefs are going to win. If they do, then yeah, there's some real positives to take away from that. If they don't, then it's not the sky is falling into the world. And what did we see? My general reaction in this is not all that concerning, honestly. I feel the same way after this game that I did after the Bills game last year. When they went to Buffalo and lost, and I'm like, I didn't think the Chiefs played all that well, and they lost to Buffalo. Kind of lets me know that all of this, Buffalo's a stud team, and the Chiefs are surviving barely. Chiefs had some opportunities in that game, didn't make the plays. They lost by more than a score, but it was a 2-point game with 4th down and, 4 minutes to play or whatever there in Buffalo, and Josh Allen got not only the first down but the touchdown. If he just picks up the first down and they tackle him, maybe you get a stop and he kicks a field goal, and now you're down by 5 getting the ball back with 2 minutes left. That's not what happened. But there were plays here or there. And I look at yesterday's game, and I'm like, there were opportunities for the Chiefs to take advantage in that game. They didn't. So is that the issue moving forward, in that last year they made those winning plays, and this year they're 0-2 in making those winning plays? Certainly is part of it, but I come away from this game going, if that's the team they see in the Super Bowl, 1, that'd be awesome because they'd be in the Super Bowl.
Fair.
And 2, I think that's what last year's Super Bowl potentially could have looked like if Mahomes had any protection, because surprisingly, the way the defense played, comparatively speaking to what they looked like against the Chargers, was kind of the way I thought the defense played against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. It's just down 34-0. You wouldn't say, boy, the defense has really played, decently here.
Agreed.
They really kept the offense and the Chiefs in this game, but they were just cut off at the knees by the offense and the turnovers. And it happened yet again that the defense went out there and put in yeoman's effort to limit what the Eagles did. Jalen Hurts having as pedestrian of a day as we'll ever see from Jalen Hurts in that game. But Patrick Mahomes also having his struggles throughout the game while sort of carrying the team at times. And if we're being honest, letting the team down at times. But that goes across the board because the defense let the team down in week 1. And many people had a part in plays that could have been made in this one, including the coaching staff, including decisions.
Oh, yeah.
And those things happen in a Sunday, and you're going up against the best team in the NFC and maybe the best team in the NFL. You didn't make some plays and you lost the game. That happens. It's not a best-of-3 series. You don't get them again tomorrow, at Kauffman. It's not if you could still win the series, you just win the next 2, and all you want to do is just win each series. It's not baseball. You get one shot, and you show up the next week, and you get another shot against the Giants. You show up the week after that, you get a shot against the Ravens. So maybe you're sitting 1-3, maybe you're sitting 2-2, and we're speaking differently in 2 weeks from today about the way they played against the Ravens and ended up winning that game, and now they're 2-2.
I think you are on the right track, and I'm glad you're bringing nuance and not just ranting and raving and screaming, although that is sometimes fun to do. And
sometimes warranted, by the way.
Correct. I don't think this is one of those situations. I don't think the Eagles, by the way, played a great game. So I think I think it's fair to point out, if we're going to say the Chiefs didn't play great, I think it's also fair to say the Eagles didn't play a great game. They have a new offensive coordinator, and watching them week 1 as well, they're very vanilla right now, which is perplexing when you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They don't know what to do. But the Chiefs' defense gave me so much room for enthusiasm moving forward, even with that being a caveat. This was the best game I've seen Brian Cook play since his rookie season. Shamari Connor, this looked like the Shamari Connor. You see why Spags like that guy based on this game. McDuffie made one real bad play, and it was just Devontae Smith mossing him to an extent.
And it came after a couple plays after McDuffie made a good play on A.J. Brown. That had the ball been tipped up in the air just a little bit more, the Chiefs intercept it. But it wasn't.
Noah Williams, I thought, played himself a nice game. His first snap against A.J. Brown maybe got away with a little bit of PI, a little bit of something there, but then he settled back in and had a really nice one against Devontae Smith on a jump ball. I thought great for Noel. The linebacker core I thought looked great. Still not enough pass rush, but I think Spags called an A-plus game. If you want to know if Spags still has his fastball, this is Nolan Ryan throwing a no-hitter at, age 44, because they could not get pressure with 4 at all this game. The Chiefs couldn't. And so Spags goes, what do? Do I just get decimated like the Chargers game? Or do I just send everyone and confuse the bleep out of Jalen Hurts? He confused Jalen Hurts. I thought that Spags called himself a great game. I don't understand the people getting super upset with Harrison Butker missing a 59-yarder. I saw that. I think also, I also said the Chiefs win if Butker makes that. I go, well, first off, that'd be a tie game based on if everything else stayed the same, and that just basically says that the Chiefs would not allow the Eagles to score a field goal at the end of the game. I think it's a silly argument personally. I think the Kelsey drop touchdown is the biggest takeaway here. We can talk about the tush-push, which I know we'll get into, but I left this game really optimistic about the defense, Jason, but offensively, that run game is not just the worst in the NFL. Where do you get to running back wise before you get to Pacheco or Kareem Hunt? Like 40? Would you take 40 running backs before those guys?
There's a lot of running
50?
backs in the league that you would get to before you go, yeah, those are the guys I go with. I mean,
50?
It's rough is what it is. And we can talk about, the dynamism that's missing from the running backs. I think the dynamism is missing from the entire offense right now without Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. And that's part of it was on Sunday Soundoff last night. It's like, okay, how do you fix the Chiefs offense? It's like, well, if you're not going to go and trade for a stud running back, and I don't know that the Chiefs are going to do that, plus who's the stud running back that you can bring in from a trade
Tank
that would
Bixby
be out there?
would have been better than these guys.
And so And they're not trading Tank. Maybe they'll trade Rashad White, but they ain't trading Tank Bigsby. I'm thinking Bucky Irving. My bad.
They just traded Tank Bigsby from.
You said Tank Bigsby, and I'm thinking Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I get
because
it.
I saw people writing about Rashad White as maybe being somebody that could be traded for. So that's my bad. I apologize. But yes, how about Tootin? I'd rather if you could have. Regardless, I don't know that there's a running back out there that you bring in and go, okay, this is the difference maker that's going to be there. Maybe it's on your team and you just give the ball more to Brashard Smith and hope that he can make some plays there, as opposed to what you're seeing from Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. How do you fix the Chiefs' offense was the question last night, and my response was fast forward the clock to Week 7 when you hopefully have Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice on the field, because how do you fix the Chiefs' running game? Throw the ball quickly to Rashee Rice and let him pick up 8 or 9 yards, because that was part of what they wanted to do last year with a healthy Pacheco before that, Bengals game. And, we haven't seen Rashee Rice in a full almost calendar year. He got injured in Week 4, so we're 2 weeks away from a full year of not having Rashee Rice on the field for this Chiefs team. They go out and play 13, 14, 15, 16 games. They've played 18 games now without Rashee Rice, 18 consecutive games without Rashee Rice, and they have... Well, let's say 17, because the Broncos wouldn't count because they wouldn't play that one anyway.
Yeah.
So they've played a full season without Rashee Rice, and they've lost 3 games. So they would be 14-3 in that time, and a couple of those some playoff games against the Texans and the Buffalo Bills. And then you've got the Eagles and Chargers on the road in Brazil, and then the Eagles again. So they've found ways to win a number of these games. They have not found a way to win either of these 2 games. The defense couldn't get off the field last week against the Chargers, and the offense couldn't capitalize and score in this one. What I would say about the Butker missed field goal to start the game or their first possession, is that if he makes it, it's 3-0, but you also get to kick off instead of it being 0-0 and the Eagles getting the ball at midfield, because they scored a touchdown on that drive.
Oh, I don't mind the decision to kick, but I think everyone expecting him to make that is I think a 59-yarder.
I think it's a pretty crucial point in the game because you did elect to kick the field goal.
Sure.
Whereas against the Chargers, you elected to punt early in the game. That would have been right around a 58-yard field goal. You elected to kick to punt and not kick. This one you elected to kick. Maybe different conditions. You're in Brazil as opposed to Arrowhead, where Butker's used to it. It's as bad of a miss from that distance that I've seen Butker have.
Oh, I agree with that point.
It wasn't even close. But it also set up a short field for the Eagles. The 2 Eagles touchdowns that they scored were after the missed field goal and after the interception. And the interception returned to almost midfield again.
Yeah.
Those were the 2 touchdown drives for the Eagles in this game. The other ones, the Chiefs were forcing punts and field goals. And so the defense was there and ready to play and good. The Chiefs just missed opportunities. And Patrick Mahomes talked about it himself, that he has to be better, that he missed some guys. And if we're talking about being the best in the league, which I still think Patrick Mahomes is, nobody's going to be perfect on each and every game and in each and every game, but you do have to hit on some of the plays that are there for you to hit on. And Mahomes did a lot of work in the first half with his legs when they were playing more man-to-man and some things were opening up. But there are times with Mahomes that I think it's like a guy who can make threes but isn't a three-point shooter.
Yeah.
Hits a couple of early threes, and then that's sort of what they start looking for. I think Mahomes sometimes gets into a tendency of, when he picks up some early big runs, that there are times when he drops back to pass specifically looking for where's the opening so I can run. They're in man-to-man. Now let me look only at the defensive line to see where I can sneak through here and pick up the run. And I think he did that a number of times in the second half. Now, maybe he read it pre-snap, which I'll give Mahomes credit for. Maybe he read it pre-snap and said, you know what? Our routes aren't going to work here, but these guys are in man-to-man, and our routes are going to leave this middle wide open. So when I get to my back step, if I find a crease here, that's the best chance we have of succeeding with this particular play. That could be the case. So I'll give him credit from that standpoint that, I'll at least acknowledge that that's a possibility, I should say. Maybe not credit, because I don't know if that's what happened. I'll acknowledge that that's a possibility here. But I think at times he does get into that sort of tendency of, I've been running it, so I'm just going to keep doing this, because maybe it's easier just to run and pick up 10 or 15 yards than dropping back, manipulating the pocket, hoping the guy gets open, delivering the ball on time accurately, him catching the ball, and then, moving the sticks. There are some times that those happen. And he even mentioned on the long run, which, he even said even on that long run when he, through the middle of the field, he said, had I waited a little bit more, Juju was coming open. I thought that was interesting, because that was one to where you go, man, I wish you'd have thrown it. No, the Noah Gray pass on the first drive has to be made, or you throw it short to Travis Kelce, because Kelce was wide open underneath. But he read it correctly. The two players quickly started running towards Kelce. It was 2nd and 3, so Kelce runs a 5-yard route and he's wide open.
Yeah.
But those guys bite on Kelce, which you set up that play 2nd and 3 so you can take a chunk play of 50. They would have gone from the 16 to about the 37-yard line, as opposed to the 16 to the 21. It's there. Great. That's why it's good to be in those 2nd and shorts, because everything's open and you can put the defense in a position to where you can take advantage of that intermediate spot. He missed. And the second possession of the second half, on 3rd down, he missed. Tyquan Thornton down the sideline. He won. If he puts it in the bucket, Thornton's still running, because he's not going to be caught by a 4th-string cornerback that's starting for the Eagles right now. You got to take advantage of those. And we talked about it. The Chiefs took advantage of that in that Tyquan Thornton was one-on-one on the left side all alone.
Yep.
And won pretty easily. It's just Mahomes threw it too far to the sideline, and it's incomplete. Now, he missed Thornton on the last drive earlier. Cost him about 52 seconds because he ends up hitting Thornton. Cost me a ZOU point, maybe, because I had the over 2.5 on 50-plus yard touchdowns.
49.5, actually. I think it's
Didn't we make it 49 or more yard touchdown
Mick
passes?
Schaefer texting us last night in that.
49 yards. That counts, right? That counts. It's 50-plus yard touchdowns, give or take 3 yards, one way or another.
Wait, I'll let you know my thought process. What did I say? Was I over or under?
You went under.
Oh, no, it's 50. It's 50. Easy, hard 50.
I know. Yeah, you went under. I went over. I think Mick and I may have been the only ones that go, no, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. Regardless, besides the point. But, there are a number of things that happen in this one. The Kelce drop, the tush push, which we've, can get into and talk about. The false starts, which we can talk about. Going forward on 4th down at your own 36, which we can talk about. The play call, certainly we can talk about. Not going forward on 4th down with 7 minutes to go on 4th and 7 and punting, which we can talk about and we will talk about as well. 913-381-0810. Let's bring in Mark to the conversation here on a Monday after the Chiefs lose to the Eagles 20-17. Mark, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Jason. You and Sterling actually captured so much of what I was going to say. So I'll be very brief. Number one, I felt like the defense played amazingly well, given what they were facing and especially what the offense left them with. Number two, I'm most worried about Patrick's weird inaccuracy. As you pointed out, Noah Gray was wide open on that early 2nd down throw, and it would have been a completely different game if he makes that. And then wide open Thornton. Again, I don't know where his accuracy is. I don't know if it's worries about the line, but that scares me more than anything. And then finally, man, I love going forward on 4th down. The one we didn't get, it wasn't that we went for it. What the hell was that play call? That's just asinine. Our coaches are smarter than that. I'll shut up and listen, but thanks, guys.
Mark, I appreciate the phone call, 913-381-0810.
Rack 'em.
Yes, and yes, some of the things that we talked about with Patrick Mahomes. Again, throughout most of the first half, he was, putting the team on his back and running and picking those things up, and that touchdown drive and that touchdown run for Mahomes. I mean, it was doing Mahomes great things, lowering his shoulder to pick up a 1st down against a linebacker, some of those things that we've seen before. But the odd inaccuracy, I think, is a good way to put it for Mahomes, that there are throws that are just easy for him, like layups for him, that right now he's not connecting on. And a couple of those have been Tyquan Thornton, This one to Noah Gray was odd, and a couple of others that it was like, man, I feel like, you rushed that to somebody else, and, there were a couple of guys that were more wide open that, would have been bigger gains or at least a completed pass, and it didn't happen. But you've also got a pretty damn good defense on the other side that's disguising different things, too.
I think he brought up a great point in regards to maybe he doesn't trust the offensive line. And I thought I noticed that where I don't think the offensive line played bad this game. Mm-hmm. They weren't great, but I think in a scale of 1 to 10, they were a 5. They were passable. For how much money you're spending on the offensive line for KC, you got to be better than that. But I think in regards to how do they handle one of the best defensive lines and pass rushes in the NFL, I think they were fine. I think at times Patrick bailed out too early. I think Patrick was just moving around and almost expecting pressure at times. And I think that could be a reason why his accuracy is faltering, especially on these deep balls, is he doesn't trust him. And we saw it at the end of last year when he just would not trust that O-line. Last year made more sense because he was getting crushed a lot of times. I did think the majority of this game, they were fine. They weren't great. They weren't horrendous.
Yeah.
The offensive line, in my opinion, in pass pro was fine.
It's an odd way that, it just feels different the way that the Chiefs design their pocket around Mahomes than others, because it doesn't feel like, an arc as much as a U. Yeah. And it just feels like it's so much more claustrophobic in what was, man, he had a nice pocket to step up in, comparatively speaking to what we've seen from the pockets that typically collapse on Mahomes. But even that throw to Noah Gray, like, he's got guys right next to him. Like, he's in a phone booth, essentially, in the pocket. So was his footwork perfect? Maybe, but also maybe he was stepping up and then, he connects with somebody else's foot while he's throwing and the ball sails. He doesn't have the pocket that a Jalen Hurts has. He doesn't have the pocket that we see some other guys when it's like, well, that was pretty good pass protection because of how deep the Chiefs' tackles take their anchor.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the difference in Jalen Moore with the 49ers and the Chiefs, and Jalen Moore with the 49ers goes more to his, I would say 8 o'clock in his drop.
Yeah.
Going more towards the defensive end to get there to set up the pocket, whereas the Chiefs drop more at 7 o'clock or sometimes 6:30.
Yeah, it feels more like 6:30.
Almost like directly back, just to a little bit of a degree, and I don't know if that's something that is should be fixed or what. I have no idea, but it does feel like if there's a lack of trust with the offensive line, then is your footwork exactly how you want it to be and perfectly so where you can make those throws when you're in training camp, and you make those throws pretty easily because you know that you're not going to be touched and the pocket can form around you, which fine, but you're still going to be able to deliver that pass. Footwork's fine. Looks great. Boy, Noah Gray was open. This offense is going to be humming, and you miss it in the game, and you can't just go, hey, run it again. Yeah. Or, hey, we're running 10 or 11 straight plays here, whether we pick up the first down or not. We're going to run this play. You can't. It's over. That drive ends up stalling, and you got to punt after that one.
I will say at least he keeps looking for Tyquan deep. That's obviously a positive. The fact that Tyquan is getting open feels like fairly consistently is a good point. Yeah. But you're right. Having it always happen on the third throw and the first two being bad isn't the best trend.
Yeah.
33% might not be the best ratio here.
Yeah. You're right. It's been the third one to Tyquan Thornton being open the last couple of weeks that he's hit Tyquan Thornton. He keep getting open, but just make sure that third one is in the first half from now on. 913-381-810 open phone lines. We'll talk with Field Yates an hour from now. Get into some of your texts as well. We'll take a timeout. I do want to talk about that 4th down and 1. And I know it's an easy cop-out to be like, I liked them going for it, but I hate the play call. It's funny because this early in the season, I'll now have that same discussion twice with local teams where I'm like, I actually like the call to go for it, but I hate the play call. And I typically push back on the, oh, you wanted to go for it, but you hate the play call. So, yeah, you were right to go for it, but you just wanted a different play, so that's an easy cop-out. I usually push back, and that's typically my response, but there are specific reasons why that we talked about, the K-State one with Avery Johnson in Ireland.
Yeah.
And this one yesterday that I had some issues with.
I didn't like him going for it, so this will be a fun conversation then.
There we go. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. Your season, your shot. The NFL season rolling along, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scores to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. There were opportunities yesterday, live in-game, things that you could have played yesterday with the Chiefs and the Eagles. There'll certainly be opportunities tonight with a doubleheader, Bucks and Texans, Chargers and Raiders. So, yeah, there are some things that you can take advantage of. And if you're a new customer, you can take advantage of this. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, plus score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 810WHB. That's code 810WHB to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, Kansas only. Eligibility restrictions apply on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issue and see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. 11:30, we'll talk with Field Yates. Coming up in the noon hour, we'll hear from Andy Reid. And then in the 1 o'clock hour, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. We got Learn Funniest Best from the weekend. Let's play a couple of clips here from the Chiefs and what we heard post-game. Let's play these two together because we kind of talked about it before we went to break with the fourth down decision. Let's play clip number 10. This is Andy Reid. He was asked about the decision to go for it on fourth down on your side of the field.
They were going to stay aggressive likewise. I think it's important against that crew that you stay aggressive. I probably could dial up some different things there, but I think against them you've got to do that. And then I obviously thought the plays we called were available, but it didn't get done the way I wanted it. So. Looking back, I wish I would have flipped those and played Mahomes first and then that one, since that plays off what I was going to talk about. But anyway, here's Patrick Mahomes. This is clip 7 talking about if he was surprised that they decided to go for it on their own 36.
It's never surprising for me. I mean, I always want to go for it. Like that's just who I am, and I want to be aggressive and do that. And I know our defense, and I trust in our defense to get a stop. And obviously, we didn't get it. Defense holds them to a field goal. I mean, best that we can do in that situation. And you always second guess it when it doesn't work. You know, I mean, when it works, it's a good thing. When it doesn't work, it's a bad thing. But I'd rather be on the aggressive side of history than the non-aggressive side. So whatever Coach Reid does in that situation, I have full trust behind it and full confidence in it.
So I wish that would have gone first and then played Andy Reid last. But anyway, we saw them go for it on their own 36. We also saw them later on in the game when the interception happened near the goal line. They did convert a fourth down and one. Yeah. So stupid to go for fourth down in that situation. Just kick the field goal. Look what happened. You went for it on fourth down, you got it, but then you didn't even score on that drive. How dumb is that?
It's like when a kicker makes like a 58-yarder, and then it's like a roughing the kicker, and you pick up the first down, which Broncos, Colts, but then you could decide to we'll take the points off the board, and then all of a sudden you throw an interception. You're like, we had 3.
What are you doing, you dummy? So let's talk about that fourth down and one at their own 36-yard line. Going for it, not going for it. I'll let you go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go quick because mine's really short, and there's one specific reason why I don't like this. It's not Andy Reid. This has not been who he is on this side of the field. This is not his game plan, and he talked about it. He goes, well, against that team, we have to be aggressive. Well, do you? Your defense has been absolutely outstanding all game long. You're giving him almost a free 3 points at a minimum here. You're not good in short yardage situations to begin with. Now you're doing it on your side of the field. To me, it felt like he panicked. To me, it felt like how other teams panic against the Chiefs. He panicked against the Eagles. That's what it came down to me was Sirianni goes for it, and they get it. So why don't we do that? Because you don't do the tush push. You won't run a QB sneak. You're going to run out of shotgun with it's beside the point. This is not who they are, and that's why I just dislike the decision. Again, you're on their side, 50-yard line, and towards the other side. I'm with you. Cool. Go for it. I think the risk is worth the reward. This specific situation, this is not Andy. This, to me, was him panicking because he thought Sirianni would go for it. Don't be like Sirianni.
Don't be a Sirianni. I will say that it's not on their side of the field, to your point. They were at the 42-yard line, down 7-3 with 4th and 4. And they went for it, and they picked it up with that long play to Travis Kelce. But that was at the 42.
That's completely different.
Yeah.
That's a no man's land because you're not going to punt there. That's
do I go for the
coward
kick?
move.
Yeah. Do I go for the kick here? whichever kick. Do I punt it or because that's kind of where they were against the Chargers when they decided to punt it.
To me, that's kick or go for it territory. If it's 4th and 5 and less, I think every single time.
Yeah, that was a little different, but yeah, it was surprising from the standpoint that we never really see Andy Reid do this. To your point, that when they don't pick up the first down, it's punt the ball, especially when it was 10-10 and your defense was playing well. But tweet in the break was any chance Andy Reid said in his mind at that point, the defense isn't going to continue to hold this team. So if we don't get points, we need to get points on this drive. So let's go and get points on this drive. It's just odd that you complete 3 passes and you still have to go for 4th down, like 5, 4, and 0. And it does so. Who's the defensive back's name that intercepted the ball? Makuba. I apologize for. I mean, it's a rookie defensive back for the Eagles.
Let me see. That's
the interception.
Makuba.
Okay, so he had 2 game-changing plays. The interception. He also made the tackle on Hollywood Brown on that crosser on 3rd down and 1.
Which, how are you not? If you're, I get Zach Bond was there, like to try and redirect his route.
Right.
But if you're Hollywood, you got to know to get past the sticks on that route. That mesh route, I don't.
It was an odd mesh route because he had to almost stop and then wheel around Kelsey, then to get in the mesh route because he was taking it deeper. And then he stopped, and Kelsey was running deeper. So I think Kelsey probably thought Hollywood was going to run a little more shallow because then Hollywood had to almost stop and redirect, which allowed
this
the
team
defensive
cannot
back to
run mesh routes. They can't do
which
it,
allowed
apparently.
the defensive back to get there in the play and also make the tackle. They were pretty darn good in open field tackling because there was also a play where Kareem Hunt was open and couldn't get away from Cooper DeJean when he made the tackle in open field on a 3rd down. Like so, we saw those things happen. So yes, it was out of character for Andy Reid. Typically, I go with it's a cop-out to go, you wanted them to go to 4th down, but you hate the play call. Now I've done it twice this year where I'm good with them going forward on 4th down, and I understand it's out of the character. I'm almost always a 4th and 1, go for it. It's a little more concerning with the Chiefs because it feels like it's a little more difficult now with their 4th down and short yardage situations that they aren't as successful as they have been, it seems, in the past. And maybe that's just anecdotal, and maybe it's not true that they're just the same success rate that they have been in the past. But it seems like even successful, it's a little bit more difficult to even pick those up. Where it was like, man, they picked that thing up every time. 4th and why don't you go for it more? Like, you guys are so good in that. But the quarterback sneak aside, which we can get into, the strategy behind that particular play, my issue with that is when you break it down and not just go, well, I wish they would have done something different. Well, why didn't you like that play? Because it didn't work? Well, I didn't like the play because, Andy said wanted to be aggressive. They're going to be aggressive. I think that was an aggressive 4th down call. And hear me out. It was a handoff. But the way that play was designed wasn't necessarily we're going to get 1 or 2 yards here, pick up the first down and keep the chains moving. That play was more of we're going to get 15 or 20 yards in a run here. We're going to chunk them with a run because we're kind of going to trick them to a degree. That being the Eagles thinking these guys are going to go right up the middle. Like they hand it off to Kareem Hunt, he goes up the middle. When he's in the fullback position, they spin, they do that thing, they hand it to him, and he goes up the middle. The Anthony Sherman,
fullback dive.
Fullback dive, but the fullback after Anthony Sherman.
I almost said Sherman again.
Yes, Anthony Sherman and then Anthony Sherman. It was a sausage and the brat.
It was a sausage and then, oh my gosh, dude, I know,
right? It's just everybody.
He went to Denver.
Right, it's always going to be Anthony Sherman to me.
He went to Denver.
Even though he was a pretty damn good fullback too, but he would pick up the first down. But here's the breakdown that I had of watching that play and seeing what took place. You've got Noah Gray in the backfield, Tanyan in the backfield, or at least to the right, and Kareem Hunt back there with Patrick Mahomes.
Michael Burton.
Yeah, the Bratwurst, yeah, because it was a B.
Gosh.
So Sherman and Burton, those guys were able to pick those things up. Okay, so this particular play, here's my issue with that. The play is designed that Creed is pulling. So the play is designed to have Creed Gray, and Tanyan leading in front of Kareem Hunt. It means that the Philadelphia Eagles, thinking you are going to run it up the middle, are going to be flying up the field, straight ahead, right? We know you're going to run the football. So we are firing off the football, right, to win in this particular gap. You're going to pull Creed Humphrey. You are going to ask one of your worst run-blocking offensive linemen in Juwan Taylor to have a reach seal against Jalen Carter. Okay? You have Nolan Smith on the outside, who is there to set the edge for the Eagles. So the play, in theory, designed for Nolan Smith to be kicked out, Jalen Carter to be pushed to the left, Creed wrapping around Juwan Taylor, and then having Creed and either Tanyan or Gray leading the way into a gap because you've trapped the guys on the back end, and now you've got wide open space for Kareem Hunt to hit a 10 or 15-yard run because you forced the Eagles down inside and jumbled up that mix. The problem with that is I'm not sure what Robert Tanyan was doing because Tanyan ran right by Nolan Smith to go and get Cooper DeJean, who was like 6-7 yards away, which allowed Nolan Smith to have a full head of steam at Noah Gray. But the biggest issue to me is that you've got Juwan Taylor, one of your worst run-blocking offensive linemen, trying to execute a block in which he's not good at against one of the best defensive tackles in the game. And part of your design is that if Nolan Smith sets the edge, I do have to run off the ass of Juwan Taylor. So my play is almost specifically designed and hinging on one of my worst run-blocking offensive linemen to execute a block he's not good at against one of the best defensive tackles in the league, while you have Creed Humphrey pulling, which allows the backside to then also help make the tackle. Because two guys, like Nolan Smith, hits Noah Gray, but Nolan Smith didn't tackle Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Creed Humphrey lost his balance because Jalen Carter was running past Juwan Taylor. Kareem Hunt was hit by Jalen Carter and then whoever Kingsley was blocking, because Kingsley also missed. And so that guy came around the backside and also then helped wrap up with Jalen Carter to where there was really nowhere for Kareem Hunt to go. But I'm not sure Robert Tanyan is supposed to run right past Nolan Smith. I'm guessing that maybe it's easier for him to block Nolan Smith when he's not running 4 yards straight at the guy to blow up the play that he did with Noah Gray. My issue is putting so much emphasis, so much of that play riding on Juwan Taylor performing a block he's not good at, doing something he's not very good at to begin with, against somebody who might be the best in the league at doing that.
It is a perplexing play call.
Oh, also Kareem Hunt has to run to the outside,
which, of course, we know he's
and he's not
great
fast
at.
enough to do that. Or if he doesn't get to the outside, he's got to cut back, and cutting back relies on Jalen Carter being blocked.
This run offense is 2 scoops of ass. They don't do anything good. I would say short yardage situation with Kareem Hunt, but I don't know if there's a lot of consistency with it. I mean,
yeah, they were 1 for 2, 50% ain't great.
I don't know. What do they do? They're not explosive. There's no vision. Pacheco moves his feet quick. Yay!
Yeah.
Fun. He'd be really good at hopscotch or those drills. Remember, like in high school and like basketball drills and football when you have to go in between the ladder drills.
Oh, yeah.
Pacheco would be so good at the ladder, high knees, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you watch other teams around the NFL, and I'm like, even when the Chiefs are blocking, I'm like, Jordan Mason gets 9 yards on that play. The Chiefs might get 2.
Well, that's the thing, is that play looked like it was designed because you're getting everybody bunched inside. You're pulling Creed because you're trapping, and now Jalen Carter is going to bump into Jordan Davis, and now you have Creed and Gray and Tanyan leading the way, 3 guys to block 2, maybe 3, and then Kareem Hunt busting it open for 15 or 20 yards. when Andy Reid saying, well, I knew they were going to be aggressive, so I wanted to be aggressive. Well, I mean, aggressive is one thing to go for it. It's also that was an aggressive run play call.
Yeah.
In that if we can execute to the high level with our interior offensive line and Juwan Taylor, this thing's going to bust wide open and we can get 15 yards. If it doesn't, yeah, we might get stopped and not convert here. That's pretty aggressive at your own 36.
When has this team ever given you any sort of sense that, yeah, we should be aggressive running the ball because we're really good at it? It's been since 2015.
Yeah. We're going to trick
since
this
Jamal
play.
Charles was here.
Yeah.
What do we do? Since Damian Williams in the playoffs, what are we doing here?
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about some other things from this game. Again, I started the game, the show, talking about the game and saying that I'm not actually all that concerned. But there are certainly some things that are frustrating in that particular performance because there were opportunities there for them to win the game and be sitting 1-1 and not 0-2 right now. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone next. Folks, let me tell you about my friends over at Heartland Men's Health. It may be something to where you're suffering from. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Let's bring in Gary to the conversation, 913-381-810-810. Gary, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Thanks, Jason. I want to talk a little bit about Patrick's mechanics. I want to see if anybody else has noticed this. Back in the great day when we were wonderful on longer passes and all that sort of stuff, Patrick seemed to set up in the traditional, preferred NFL way and throw over the top, stepping into the pass. And I think not having a left tackle for a couple of years has messed him up to where now he throws even the long passes from a three-quarter or even more side arm angle. And he's falling away, even at times that he doesn't need to do that. And I think that has played havoc with his accuracy. I like your comments, and I'll listen off the air.
Gary, I appreciate the phone call. I don't know that I could disagree with any of that. It does, like on that Noah Gray pass, that is one of the things that I noticed, and I'm not, in baseball, you would take it and study it and overlay it to see like the exact same pitch. Like, oh, look, last year he was at this particular degree of his release point, and this year it's a different degree of his release point. It did look a little more sidearm, or at least three-quarters in the throw to Noah Gray. I mean, it may be something that has developed over the years. It may be exactly how he threw 5-6 years ago, and it's like it looks different because he's not completing the passes right now.
A lot of batted balls, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of batted balls, and you would allude to that being part of a lower arm angle.
Yeah, could be. Some of that is also, bad luck with the batted balls and,
Sure.
T.R. Tart being 4 yards off the line of scrimmage, not actually offering any pressure whatsoever, just being in that position. But then over the course of the game yesterday, a couple of those that were knocked down at the line of scrimmage too. So he's had 5 in the last 2 weeks, 3 against the Chargers and 2 yesterday against the Eagles that have been tipped or batted down at the line of scrimmage. So there may be something to that. I don't know. Could be a question for Andy Reid today or Patrick Mahomes on Wednesday if he has something to say about that. More Zone next. Field Yates coming up at the bottom of this hour. We'll talk with him about the Chiefs, the tush push, and Joe Bertos. It does suck, though. As I've said, that I just want every year, and we're not going to get it this year, obviously. I just want every year to turn injuries off just to see who's the best without injuries. Because we're not going to know how good the Bengals are this year with Jake Browning quarterbacking them for 3 months. Yes, he had the 92-yard drive, and he had the touchdown. He also had 3 interceptions in the game. So he helped them win, but it's like, did you need the 92-yard touchdown drive at the end if you wouldn't have made the mistakes along the way? That's what you're going to get from Jake Browning. You're going to get a guy that will not take the amount of sacks that Joe Burrow takes, because one thing that I think, and we'll talk throughout the week and maybe the weeks about this, but I just, as a quick aside, because we're going to talk with Field Yates later on this hour, the differences between, like, even if we look at somebody like Jake Browning and Joe Burrow is sacked a lot because I think Joe Burrow is willing to take sacks rather than throw the ball in harm's way at times. So he limits interceptions, but he also takes sacks. Whereas Jake Browning didn't take sacks, but he put the ball in harm's way, and it got intercepted. That's just the difference you're going to see in the quarterbacks. And maybe that changes for Jake Browning, but Burrow's a guy that, and by the way, almost interceptions aren't specific drive enders. Sacks are very connected to drive enders. So you can make that case as well with Joe Burrow if he's taking too many sacks rather than 15 sacks over the course of the season as opposed to 3 or 4 more interceptions. Would that be better for them over the long term? I have no idea. No idea. Somebody else can go and examine that. But I do think the difference is going to be that Jake Browning will give the ball to the other team a number of more times. Won't be sacked.
Where he saw.
Yes, won't be sacked as much. But without Joe Burrow and that defense, we'll find out. And we'll see what Jake Browning can do with the weapons that the Bengals have. I mean, can they get by from that standpoint? 913-3-810-810. I wanted to talk fourth down and then tush push. So we'll get into some tush push here. We'll push some tushes. Okay, we'll shove some people around here. Brotherly. Just shoving buddies is what we're going to do. The fourth down decisions and the quarterback sneak specifically. Let's play clip number 4 here, if we can, Michael. This is Patrick Mahomes, and the question to him was, Patrick, do you think that you'll ever lobby to actually run a quarterback sneak again in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always up to it. We've put it in certain games, and I think you saw on the other fourth down we got it. We just run it with Kareem, and so I just trust in Coach Reed whatever he calls, and we've put it in, and you kind of have to get the right look, and we didn't think they were going to give us that right look this week.
I think the right look is the fact that nobody expects it to happen. The right look is that if you just tap Creed on the butt, right in the butt, what? Sorry. If you just tap him on the side and then dive forward, you pick it up because nobody is thinking that you're going to run the quarterback sneak. You're just not going to do it. I find it illogical and conflicting ideologies in that Patrick Mahomes is allowed to lower his shoulder in the middle of the field to pick up a first down. And that is viewed as like, hell yeah, go get him, Patrick. That guy just wants the first down no matter what, and he's willing to do that. Lowering his shoulder, back-to-back weeks, by the way. Lowering his shoulder, taking contact from a defensive player that has him squared up. He picked up the first down both times, but he's had to lower the shoulder to do that, to pick up those first downs. Yet, you won't allow him to attempt the most successful fourth and short play in the history of the game.
I don't think the coaching staff is necessarily thrilled when he lowers his shoulder, but I
tell him not to do it.
I got the thought process of, let's say the fans, maybe there are some fans who will cheer when that happens, and then they're like, well, I don't ever want to see him do that. Remember when his knee came out? Like, that was the most freak action of all time. This is what Tom Brady did for decades.
Yes.
Plural.
And he didn't have to tush push. He was one of the best at converting it. Josh Allen does it. He's bigger. But you know what? Patrick Mahomes is a guy that carries the weight purposefully. by the way, to take on those hits. Turns out maybe carrying that weight's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I'm not sure. I'm not there with Bobby Stroop in the workouts of whatever the desired weight is. My theory is that you might want to have some weight and not be Jaden Daniels to take the hits from the NFL to be able to do some of those things. That's just my theory on Patrick Mahomes. But I do find it interesting that Patrick Mahomes lowering his shoulder and what's that?
I'm going to start doing this now where I'm just going to just eat really unhealthy and be like, well, no, I'm carrying the weight for radio because in radio you really want to have it for your base. 100%. When you sit in a chair and talking to a mic. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You need the weight just to be distributed so I can just sit in this chair and talk. So that's why I eat on it. You know what? That's my new thing.
100%.
You need the weight in radio.
Yes.
Well, I was just going to say the quarterback sneak is also one of the safest plays in football, along with it being effective. So it's like
there's been one time
to watch him go lower the shoulder against a defender who gets paid to try to take him out of the game. That's concerning.
Because you can lower the shoulder, and you're bracing for impact. But what if you lower the shoulder, the guy hits you, wraps up, and then you fall together on another shoulder? Jaden Reed's out for 6 weeks because of a broken collarbone. Graham Mertz missed the rest of the season by lowering his shoulder against Mizzou a few years ago to try to pick up the first down. We've seen guys do that. I love that Mahomes is a tough SOB, a guy that is just a bleep you. I get on my back, and I'm going to carry this team. I'm going to truck a defensive back. I'm going to go and truck another guy to pick up the first down because we're playing physical, and you're not going to punch us in the mouth and we're going to back down, Gronk. Okay, that's not how we play. But right, and it's week 2, and you want it to last. But he does that, but he can't run what is the most successful fourth down play in the history of the game. Because, you take all the other types of different fourth down plays. This is one specific play. Yeah. We know how successful it is. But anyway, let's talk about the tush push. Shall we? Let's hear from Jerry Tillery. And then we'll hear from Nick Sirianni. Here's Jerry Tillery after the game, talking with our very own Stephen St. John. And in the background, Todd Lebo being incredibly rude in talking to Ashton Gelati. Very close. And Todd, very loud. How about you have your own conversation with Ashton, and you let Stephen and Jerry, all right, have their conversation, all right? Here's Jerry Tillery weighing in on stopping the tush push.
Well, I think the formation that they allow to them to get in is difficult, on a defense to stop. We defend every inch of grass, but we have our plan, and it's a tough one to stop. They're good at it. They got good players over there, and we just have to execute our game plan. And we were close on a couple ones, and The last 2, we all had some questions about, but we just have to execute our game plan and play hard in that snap.
Ashton, you're getting more from our vantage point, it looks like a couple times they go early, on the guards or whatever.
I would agree with that. We're watching them closely, and I think that is the case.
And so, do you talk to the officials out there? I mean, that's got to be frustrating. It's pretty clear what's happening.
Of course, yeah. We're able to talk to the officials, but we have to control what we control, and that's pushing them back when they try to run that play. And so we'll see it again. We'll see this team again, we think, and so we will. We'll have another shot at this.
I mean, if you didn't hear what Jerry Tillery was saying, because Todd was yelling in the background, Ashton, you're playing a lot more now. But Stephen whispering, being polite. It seems like these guys
are classy man.
Absolutely. I mean, one guy's in there just pushing people around and demanding respect.
One was Nick Sirianni and one was Andy Reid.
That's
Lebo
right.
Was Nick Sirianni in that situation.
Yes, and Stephen is a guy that is more bite than bark.
Soft spoken, but carries a big stick.
That's what he tells people. He walks around with a huge stick all the time, and he walks softly, but man. That cane and stick is very big. Here's Nick Sirianni was asked by, I believe, Todd Lebo about his reaction to the complaints that were happening both in-game and outside of the on-field product of the false starts that were not called.
Yeah, we got to be very good at it because, again, like I said, teams are, I would argue that they were in the neutral zone a lot, and taking every inch that they had. They called the first one to back them up. I didn't think they necessarily backed up, but it's, it is what it is. And they're going to do other things to try to stop that with, the way, again, don't want to get too much into it, but they're doing everything they can do. So it's a little bit, there's a little bit of gamesmanship on both sides with that. We know, though, that we have to be perfect with it, with how we come off the football, timing it up, all those different things, because, again, we know we have to be perfect with it. We got to get better at that portion of it, of being perfect with it. And I haven't seen the tape on it, obviously, yet of what what they're saying. But, yeah, listen, I fuss at the referees at times when I think it goes one way, and I would expect them to do the exact same thing. So, yeah, it's just a good effort because, when you're running that play, everyone knows you're running that play. So there's something pretty cool about being able to execute a play when you know exactly what's coming, and it just speaks to the volumes of our guys, and that's a heck of a football team with a great defensive line. I can't tell you how much respect they got for that defensive line, that defense, Spags, Chris Jones, McDuffie, Bolton, all those guys. You can see why they've won so many games this past however many years.
Nick Sirianni is so much more likable when he's talking into a microphone to media after a game rather than his childish antics during the game. But that's neither here nor there. It's his style of coaching. He's very much cheerleading on the sideline where there's different ways of doing it. There are guys who are very stoic. Andy Reid's incredibly stoic. Dennis Gates, very stoic, right? And there are guys who are Bruce Pearl is a madman on the sideline, and his team's gone to Final Four. So, I mean, Nick Sirianni won a Super Bowl by being a cheerleader and screaming and pointing first down and stuff like that. So it's kind of the personality he wants his team to be, right in your face and brash. But I thought it was interesting when he was like, well, they were offsides, and they called it and, wanted him to push him back, but I didn't think they really, went back any. Like, that to me is the difference, though, is that they did call offsides on the Chiefs.
Yes.
But two obvious false starts by the Eagles were not called. And it does change things when the Eagles are up 13-10 and it's 4th and goal at the 1-yard line. If you call the false start appropriately, it's 4th and 6. 4th and goal at the 6-yard line. They're kicking the field goal. You're down 16-10 and you have the ball with 7 minutes to play. Instead of being down 20 or 8 or whatever, how many were minutes were left, because they punted with 7 minutes to play, down 20-10. So let's say 8 minutes left to go in the game when they got that 7:48. 7:48 left in the game when they got that 4th down and goal from the 1-yard line, which was closer than I thought it would be. The Chiefs have done a pretty decent job against the Eagles, all things considered, of stopping or limiting or slowing down to a degree the tush push, where we've seen other teams that the Eagles have gotten like 3 yards on a tush push. Like, it's just easy. The Chiefs did stop it twice in the second half, one on 3rd and goal from the 1 and one on 2nd and 1, which was another false start that was not called. It should have been 2nd and 6. A little different than 4th and goal from the 6. 2nd and 6, they still could have picked up the first down.
Yeah, Sirianni wants his team to be brash, crass, and pushing ass. That's kind of his go-to, I think. But when it comes to the actual tush push, I'm okay with it still being a play, but you have to call it. Like, you have, and Dean Blaine was like, I'm so over the tush push, it's impossible to either take it out then or call it how it's supposed to be, because you can't allow them, the left and right guard, to fire off before the ball is snapped. Like, in what world is that legal? And those looked obvious to the naked eye. That wasn't just, oh, the ref can't see. Well, then you have to have something in play to where you can, because those were so obvious. I mean, Jawan Taylor has been called on those time and time again because he's a lot of times false starting.
But also,
I'm okay with it being a play, but you gotta enforce the rules.
The reason is, like, well, it's tough to officiate that. Well, yeah, because you've got guys that are so close to the football. Helmets are almost sometimes over the football by the Eagles. They're in 4-point stances. Their hands are right next to the football, so you can't really see when they fire off, did the football move. So here's what I would suggest, one of two things. I'm with you. I did not advocate for the play to be eliminated.
Correct.
I'm fine with the play remaining. But I will advocate it to be eliminated if you can't officiate it to the degree that you can't tell if they are either lining up offsides,
correct,
or false starting and getting that particular advantage. Hell, the Chiefs even hit the football before it was snapped, and they didn't call that one either.
Yeah, correct. I mean,
they're just and also this one other point of contention in this particular play, when they are that close together. You've got all 22 guys that are within the hash marks, right? All 22 guys like within the hashes from being that particular width, right? Especially on the goal line. Why are the officials on the sideline?
Yeah.
Why can't they be halfway between the farthest guy to the right or left and the farthest guy to the sideline and the sideline? And I don't care. Get down on your knees and all fours just like them so you can look and see pretty close. What's the point of officiating 30 yards away? What's it, 55 yards the width of the field?
Yeah.
So, 26 yards away from where the ball is if it's in the middle of the field. And if it's on one hash, you're even further away on the other side. Move closer. How often do they run that play? Do they fake it and then throw to a player who's running straight to the sideline that might get in the official's way? They used to have an umpire behind the defensive line between the linebackers in the middle of play. I think you can move the line judges in some 10 yards to get closer, and you can even have them get down on a knee to look closer to see if they're going false start. If you're going to allow the play to happen, then you have to officiate it differently then, because you are clearly not good enough at officiating this. Or make obvious false starts that are missed reviewable, because false starts that aren't missed are blown dead. So if the play happens and it was an obvious false start, you can call down and go, before the snap, we've got a false start.
Yep.
On whoever. It's a 5-yard penalty, and whatever happened in this play doesn't matter, because it's just like a defensive holding. Whatever happens in the game or that play doesn't matter. Offensive holding, whatever happens doesn't matter. We're bringing it back because of a flag. Same thing. Then implement that into the game. I'm okay with the play remaining, and I know a lot of people disagree. A lot of people want it out. I'm okay with it remaining, but you can't allow them to sometimes line up over the football, and you can't allow them to sometimes take the football and then slide it a little bit further, closer.
Also correct.
Which then allows the other guys to get a little bit closer, or false starting, where guys firing out before the ball is snapped.
Maybe the Chiefs should start doing the tush push, and then it'll get banned.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is
if Chris Collinsworth talked about it, then it'd get banned, right? If Chris Collinsworth talked about
how... If that was a Thursday night football, you would need... The problem is it was only the fourth quarter. There was 7:45 left to go in the game. So all they had was that amount of time to talk about it. It just happened to happen twice. It took place twice in that span. I mean, but it was a 3:25 game that a lot of people were watching, but it wasn't the Chiefs benefiting from it. And that's the difference right now, is people got tired of the Patriots benefiting from things when they were in their dynasty, that if other people benefited from it, they didn't really care because it wasn't the Patriots. And even the Eagles winning, sorry, Sterling, even the Eagles winning, it's still going to get ignored because it's not the Chiefs benefiting from something. You have people arguing that, well, yeah, it was pass interference against Rashee Rice and the Bengals, but you really shouldn't call it that time in the game. You have people arguing that, yes, that was a penalty that benefited the Chiefs. We just don't think it should have been called then. You have people arguing that, yes, that is illegal, but we just disagree the timing of it, while not arguing as loud as, they were with the Chiefs about something that actually was illegal to do twice that resulted in, one, a touchdown, and a difference of 4 points in a 3-point game, and what should have been 2nd and 6 when they picked up the first down on the next play. But again, they could have very easily picked up the first down with 2 more plays on 2nd and 6. So I'm not saying that. That's not as big as the 4th down and 1 missed false start.
I will say I saw a lot of consternation and a lot of angry folk who were not Chiefs fans on Twitter about this. Twitter's not real life, I get that. But when you can get Will Compton and Kurt Benkert, the 2 big Chiefs haters, on the same board saying that's illegal, and they're agreeing with Chiefs Twitter, that's when you know there's an issue. So I think if there's ever a game to show the NFL, ever a game that actually we're on Chiefs sides, Chiefs fans sides, it was this one. And Eagles fans, we do know they are loud, obnoxious. I think the tide might start shifting pretty soon with the Eagles' success that they've had, the annoyance of their fans a lot of times, the easy to root against Sirianni aspect of this. I think you're going to start seeing I think you're going to start seeing that sooner rather than later.
I would also say as we go to break, we'll bring in Field Yates on the other side of the break. This was one of my buddies texted me this last night. I thought it was interesting. Now, he mentioned targeting, but there's no targeting in the NFL. It's a defensive receiver hit to the head with a defensive receiver is what's called unnecessary roughness in college is targeting. But his point was, doesn't that play go against everything we teach people about how to play football? You're lining up head to head and you're diving head first like a torpedo at each other. Low man wins, but your head isn't up when you're diving. They're diving and spearing with their helmets at each other. Like, why isn't an offensive lineman diving straight ahead with their helmet down spearing against the rules in the NFL? Why can't they dive forward with their head up like we are taught to do? But if a defender comes in with his head down, that's 15 yards unnecessary roughness and a $30,000 fine from the NFL. But the offensive lineman can go right up against the defense and spear their head right ahead so that they can pick up the first down. Thought it was a good point by him. No targeting in the NFL, and it must be a defenseless receiver. But spearing is against the rules too.
Yeah.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, talk to Field Yates next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes and Michael Darcy. Let's talk some NFL football. Our NFL insider from ESPN, Field Yates, joins us here in the zone on a Monday. Field, how are you, sir?
Jason, I'm doing well. Glad to be back on with you. Hope you're feeling better compared to where we were last week. I mean that physically and maybe not so much emotionally after yesterday.
You know what? It's interesting. I am feeling better, obviously physically, because I didn't take a 3-day coma this week like I did last week. Fell asleep Sunday afternoon, woke up roughly Wednesday night.
Wow.
Is all I remember. It was crazy. I've never felt like that before, and I couldn't talk more than one sentence without having a coughing fit. So, which is tough for radio, but also Field. Last week when the Chiefs lost to the Chargers in Brazil, I had some real concerns, and there were some frustrations that were there. But my concern was, man, I don't know that this defense is going to be good enough this year with the personnel that they have. And oddly enough, I came away from this game, Field. I compared it to how I felt last year when the Chiefs went to Buffalo, and we had a conversation, and I said, you know, I'm really not all that like crazy upset or like overreacting to the loss. They went up against a good team. There were some plays here or there that could have been made. They weren't made. The other team wins. That's what happens. They've won their fair share. You move on. This one hurts because of the Chargers loss, and they're 0-2. But I don't come away with this game feeling like the sky is falling or there's some real issues that the Chiefs can't overcome because they lost to a Super Bowl favorite by 3 at home.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fair statements made by you there. The NFL obviously has a schedule that is determined by the prior year and then also rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew who the Chiefs were going to be playing this year. How the schedule was outlaid, we did not know until whatever it was in May. It's possible the Chiefs played 2 of the 6 best teams in the NFL in the first 2 weeks of the season. And they might play a third, not next week, but the week after when they play the Ravens in week 4. It's possible that the Chiefs find their stride in the middle portion of the season because it gets a little bit thinner compared to where things are right now. I think it's fair right at this juncture to express some concerns about the offensive performance through 2 games because in 2 games it has felt like the plan has lacked creativity, and it's basically been Patrick Mahomes becomes Superman and allows us to maybe have a chance. It's obviously a bit of an unfair evaluation of the offense's potential because of the fact that they haven't had other than 3 plays worth, Xavier Worthy on the field, and for 4 more games, no Rashee Rice as well. So there's reasons to believe the offense will improve as the season wears along. But I feel right now like the defense has championship caliber play still very much within it. I thought that was championship caliber defense yesterday. I've yet to see that from the offense. That to me is the area that has the most growth potential. But it better happen in a hurry because unlike prior years, it has felt like the Chiefs were able to kind of stumble out of the gates but not lose that much ground in the division or the conference. It feels like this is a year where the conference has more top-tier teams that the Chiefs are going to have to find their footing sooner rather than later because if they're 1-3 coming out of week 4, including losses to the Chargers and the Ravens, then all of a sudden the seeding in December that is normally are the Chiefs going to be resting their starters in Week 18 will become a much bigger conversation.
Yeah, I think the looking at the next 4 games, and that is the Giants, the Ravens, the Jags, and the Lions before you get Rashee Rice back. Can you go 3-1 in that group to be sitting 3-3? That means you need to take care of business with the Giants and Jags and then split home games against either the Ravens or the Lions, winning one of those games. You sit 3-3. You'd have Rashee Rice back with 2 home games against the Raiders and Commanders. Hopefully you could win those, and then you go to the Bills. If they enter the bye week at 5-4, I think they're fine the rest of the way. But can you get to the bye week at 5-4 right now? That is with a loss to the Bills because I do think they will lose that game on the road because they lose to the Bills in the regular season. It's what they do. If they can get to the bye week 5-4, it's manageable in overcoming an 0-2 stretch. If they had started the season with Titans on the road and then Raiders at home and they're 2-0 playing like this, there wouldn't be the hand-wringing and consternation. They played maybe 2 of their best teams are going to play this year the first 2 weeks, and they lost them, which are explainable in week 7 and 14 to a degree.
Yeah, totally. And Jason, and you and I have been doing this now for, I think this is our 4th season, maybe having this conversation each Monday. But we always come back to this theme, which is that Chiefs seasons are measured by one metric and one metric only now. It's, does the team win when it matters the most in the playoffs, right? Yeah. Are they a Super Bowl champion or are they not? Mm-hmm. It's almost ridiculous that we're talking about how the Chiefs could look after 4 games or 9 games or coming out of the bye or expecting them to lose this game to Buffalo but not that game to somebody else. It feels so completely ahead of, or getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
And yet that's how things go with Kansas City, right? Whether the team goes 9-8 and backs into the playoffs or goes 15-2 and cruises into the playoffs with 15 straight victories would not matter at this point. What matters is, do they win the Super Bowl or do they not? Especially when you have a quarterback who is still very much in his prime, but a couple of pieces around him that have, certainly moved past the prime and may only have, especially with Travis Kelce, like who knows exactly how much time he has left on a football field. It seems like every year is going to be a week-to-week season-to-season proposition for Travis Kelce. So, this is the territory that the Chiefs have created for themselves. In some ways, their expectations are merely a victim of their own success. I think that there are reasons to be optimistic. I think there is certainly like a benefit of the doubt that this team deserves. I also think that some of the offensive stuff has been pretty dispiriting through 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So they better get going in a hurry because ultimately the bar we're going to measure them on is in January, and they have not come anywhere close to, I would say, Super Bowl caliber offense through the first 2 games of the season.
A TV show last night that I did, and it was asked, how do you fix the Chiefs offense? And I'll ask you the same question. My answer was hit fast forward and get to a game where you've got Worthy and Rice on the field at the same time. What would be the answer for you if it's like, how do you fix the options were, Matt Nagy was brought up, but also like trade for a running back. And my answer was fast forward to when you have Worthy and Rice on the field because they have no dynamism right now with the guys out there playing. And it's Patrick Mahomes throwing to 2 guys that were released by the New England Patriots and 2 guys that were elevated from the practice squad.
Yeah, I think that's a fair characterization of the state of the state right now. So I think that the easy answer and maybe the most correct answer is exactly what you referenced, which is, just wait until the 2 dynamic wide receivers are in the fold and we can give you an evaluation. Mm-hmm. There's a part of me that sort of feels like the running game could be just as problematic throughout the season unless they shake a couple of things up. One is, you're right, the personnel leaves some cause for concern. There's just there's no home run threat right now on the roster at running back, right? There's no team that is saying to itself, like, you know what, we got to be careful because, we blink our eyes and next thing you know, you've got a 72-yard touchdown run by Kareem Hunt. Everything is grinded out on the ground. Yeah. But Tom Brady talked about this yesterday during the game, and he was saying it matter-of-factly, not like once things got going in a certain direction. He was like, listen, there's no creativity to this running game. It's just what they sort of just do what they have been doing, which to me is a little bit concerning because that was for a long time one of the hallmarks of an Andy Reid team was offensive creativity that stresses defenses and gives you something each week that maybe you weren't expecting. The Chiefs aren't going to be able to recreate the wheel every single week, but they need a little bit more juice in the running game in terms of like explosive plays. But they also need a little bit more unpredictability in the running game because it does feel like teams, generally speaking, have an idea what's coming. And more often than not, it feels like the result is 3 yards at best in a cloud of dust. It's not a good sign when your quarterback through 2 games has more than twice as many rushing yards as any other player on the roster.
Well, it's so bad at this point, Field. Like there was a play yesterday that Pacheco picked up 4 yards, and I thought, oh, wow, nice play. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, it's 4 yards. That's and it just felt like there was so much space there. It's like, wow, look at all that space he had to run to get 4 yards. Like, it's so much like that they're running this. The running game is in a phone booth. It just feels like it feels like there's 15 defenders on the field when they try to run the football. Maybe they're slow playing with the left side of the offensive line, rookie in Simmons, and a guy who's playing guard for the first time in his life in Kingsley. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I've been asked this a couple of times, Field, so I'll ask you because I don't know the state of other teams around the NFL. Tank Bigsby was traded. Brian Robinson was traded. By the way, he's got 15 carries for 53 yards in the first 2 games for the 49ers, so he's not actually, he's not exactly going out and tearing it up. But is there a running back out there that a team would be wanting to move? That would make sense and even make an impact on this team. Like, is there somebody that would be available that would make sense for the Chiefs?
So I want to be careful in characterizing this player as available because the internet is this aggregation space. I'm merely applying logic here, Jason. The Jets and Breece Hall did not come to terms on an agreement prior to this season to extend his time in New York. I didn't hear personally a public peep about it. Now, maybe it's possible that there was some acknowledgement. Hey, we tried, it just didn't work out. We decided to table it. The team also, during the preseason, expressed some confidence in Braylon Allen, their 4th-round pick a year ago, and Isaiah Davis, their 5th-round pick a year ago. Neither one of those players has played a dramatic role, but if the Jets look – they're 0-2 now, and they were completely non-competitive yesterday against Buffalo. Again, this is sensible logic by me. A team that's going nowhere should not be looking to pay a running back big money, in my opinion, because there is a fungibility to that position that you could get somebody else at a fraction of the cost, like the Jets thought they did when they drafted a player in the 4th and 5th round running back last year. Breece Hall would not just be an upgrade on the Jets running game. He would help them dramatically in the passing game as well. I think he's an awesome player. I think he is an excellent, excellent player. Now, he would probably be a rental because he's going to be very expensive to retain for a running back, at least, after the season. But, yeah, that will be a name that comes to mind for me. How available he is, I do not know. But, again, just using logic, he would be the kind of player you'd be targeting for a team that probably would be looking towards the future by the trade deadline anyway.
Interesting. And Wichita, Kansas native. So I don't know. Maybe he'd be totally cool with
even better,
returning to the area he grew up.
The native son.
Yes. Field Yates from ESPN is our guest. Okay, let's talk about the tush push, what has taken place since yesterday. I was not advocating for them to eliminate the tush push. My view was stop it. They figured out a way to and people are like, well, it's not football. I'm like, it's kind of as football as it gets, when we think of the old sort of gridiron type play. My view today is, and would be no matter who it was against, I will offer that. It may be viewed as, well, I'm in Kansas City. My view today is if we can't officiate it, if we can't call the false starts that were that obvious, then maybe there needs to be an elimination or just be better as an official in calling that. What do you make of the tush push? Now the conversation that is revamped and restoked with the 2 plays, one of them being pretty crucial, 4th and goal at the 1, false start, would be vastly different. 4th and goal at the 6 would result in a field goal and a 16-10 game, not a 20-10 game.
Yeah, so 2 things here is during the discussions at the owners' meetings this offseason, it felt like the catalyst for change was the idea that there's an injury concern associated with the tush push. I did not personally see any data associated with that. So I was, along those lines, not a proponent of changing the tush push because of the health concerns. If someone has that data, I would absolutely 100% advocate for eliminating the tush push because, the health of players is certainly a priority for the league. There's a new issue that I think you accurately noted, which is that we saw yesterday that it's an officiating issue. Yes, when you slow things down and you get the down-the-line camera view that Fox had available, there's probably a lot of plays that have penalties by the letter of the law that go uncalled, but it does feel like we are getting pretty close to a play that even officials are having a hard time just like putting the proper jurisdiction on play in and play out. It's obviously going to be a significant portion of Philadelphia's playbook until the play is banned or in perpetuity if they never ban that play. It was clumsy yesterday, to say the least, watching those tush-push plays. It felt like perhaps we had gotten a little bit far away from maybe where the intent of, I don't know, like it doesn't feel like short yardage offense. It just feels like we're watching a different sport other than football itself.
Well, and again, I was not for banning it, and I'm still fine with not banning it, just officiating it differently. Something was brought up to me yesterday, and I wanted to ask you because I hadn't given it this thought. It was one of my buddies who also coaches football had said, hey, they have targeting out there. And I'm like, well, targeting's only in college. It's got to be a defenseless receiver with head-to-head contact for it to be unnecessary roughness in the NFL. And his point was, right, but the way they're lining up and then they dive straight forward using the crown of their helmet to spear like torpedoes, that's illegal to spear somebody. And he goes, and as a football coach, it goes against everything we're teaching our kids on how to block and how to do, these guys are just diving straight forward with their heads down, going up against defenders diving straight forward with their heads down. He goes, in the spirit of what the NFL is trying to make things safer, that goes against everything we're trying to teach the kids about how to play football. I thought it was an interesting point I hadn't heard somebody bring up before.
Sure, totally fair.
Yeah.
That it's a fair way of thinking about it, and obviously we've seen how across other sports, right? I feel like every time I come across a highlight of some 9-year-old on Instagram playing basketball, which is pretty frequently these days, because it feels like every 9-year-old has a mixtape. It's just kids jacking up but right? It's the
Euro step backs. Yeah.
That's right. And I love Steph Curry. He's one of my favorite athletes ever. But his influence on the game has permeated multiple generations, right? And it certainly feels like that's where the tush-push could wind up as well. I'd imagine there will be a healthy conversation at the end of this season once again about the tush-push and whether it stays or whether it goes.
Real quick, before we let you go, what do you think of the Giants? We've seen them 2 games 0-2. Brandon Aubrey is an alien kicker. They were essentially Brandon Aubrey being on the Cowboys away from being 1-1. What do you make of this team, and what's the challenge for the Chiefs next Sunday night?
The challenge is going to be protecting Patrick Mahomes because they have layers and layers of pass rush depth. But this is a game, even Sunday Night Football in New York, where I'm sure the crowd will be raucous. They should take care of business. This is a team that is undermanned compared to Kansas City, even if Kansas City is undermanned compared to the past half dozen or so years of what we have known this roster to be. But this get-right game is probably one of the terms that you'll hear thrown around this week. To me, it's a do whatever is needed to take care of business type of game, because 0-3 would sound off alarms that that have not been anywhere close to seeing during the Patrick Mahomes era.
0-3 and looking at the Ravens coming to town for a 3:30 kick is not good news. Field, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, brother. Good to hear from you. Looking forward to our conversation next week. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There's Field Yates, ESPN, our NFL insider. And yes, I will characterize it all week. You'll hear me say it a lot this week. Sunday Night Football against the Giants is not a must-win, but it's you can't lose. All right? It's not a must-win because you're not eliminated. But you can't lose it because you need to go 3-1 over your next 4 games. You need to go 5-2 over the next 7 games to get to the bye at 5-4. I think if you get to the bye at 5-4 and you go 5-2 against Giants, Ravens, Jags, Lions, Raiders, Commanders, Bills, it's a tough road.
Sure.
They can certainly do it with Commanders, Ravens, and Lions all at home. They can do it, but you can't lose to the Giants and go 5-2 in that stretch.
You just have to find a way to get 11 wins this year. If you can get 11 wins, that's all that matters.
They're playing for January. What's this team look like in January? Get there.
Yes.
The Bengals started so terribly last year that they were playing great football but couldn't get there.
You can't let that happen where you put yourself so far behind, but you get to 10, 11 wins. I think 11 is probably the number, the comfortable number. Yeah. And I think if you get to 11, I don't think there's a dominant team in the AFC. I think the Bills might be the closest to that, right? I think the Bills have a strong case for that, especially after the win over the Ravens. I think they're probably the team that might have, at least as of now, the best percentage to end up with the best record, but still point remains.
Yeah. There are
just get there.
After tonight, there will be 4 teams in the AFC that are 2-0. So there will be 4 teams that they are 2 games behind. Buffalo, they play them, but they're 2 games behind Buffalo. Cincinnati, no Joe Burrow. Indianapolis, they do play, and we'll see about Daniel Jones moving forward.
Dude.
And then after tonight, the Raiders, when they beat the Chargers tonight on Monday Night Football, they'll be 2-0 sitting atop the AFC West.
I wouldn't be surprised by that, by the way.
Oh, I'm picking the Raiders to win.
You know my thoughts. I've been pretty high on the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders are winning tonight,
by the way.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones has been incredible for the Colts.
It's been crazy. It's been crazy what he's done. But they get the Colts at home. They can take care of business on November 23rd against them. So those are the 4 teams in the AFC that are 2-0. Buffalo, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, winner of Chargers and Raiders. So there are 4 teams that they are 2 games behind, and both teams that play tonight, they will play a total of 3 times.
Yeah.
The rest of the way, 2 against the Raiders, 1 against the Chargers. So it is not dire straits. It's Buffalo that is out 2 games ahead of you. Ravens come to town a week from Sunday, and you're only a game behind them. It could be a 1-2 versus 2-1 game, Chiefs and Ravens, and both those teams might leave the field 2-2.
I mean, it's not dire straits, but it does feel like some of these Chiefs players are getting some money for nothing.
All right, wrap it up this hour. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up in the next hour. We got one more segment. If you want to weigh in, we can take your phone calls, 913-381-810. Do need to get to some of the texts that have been coming in. I apologize not getting to them so far today. Thank you to Field Yates joining us. His assessment, as I said, what do the Giants bring to the table? As we've talked about, they're one of the best pass rushing teams in the NFL. You got to worry about Thibodeau. You got to worry about Burns.
Yeah.
Got to worry about Carter. Got some players out there that are going to – that offensive line is going to be tested on Sunday night. They better be ready to go. Better be ready to go. We'll find out. Hopefully Xavier Worthy is. More Zone next.
Yeah.
Because they just stayed with the call on the field. Tex says, I missed part of the conversation. If you discussed it, the NFL just changes policy. Upstairs official can overrule the field. If on tush-push video they're lined up offsides or jump, a penalty's called, whether on the field or not, then they could have called a penalty since they can't apparently do it on the field. That was sort of my point of, they can have those quick reviews, or they can, have the upstairs review, like face mask now. Hits to the helmet by defenders for roughing the passer is now reviewable upstairs. You have some of those things. I think if there's a false start that happens on the play that isn't called, then you can call down and throw the flag for a false start. If the false start happens and they throw the flag, well, then they threw the flag.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's false start. If it's not thrown, then, hey, there was a false start on that play if you can't actually officiate it on the field.
I wanted Andy Reid to go up and get tossed like a baseball manager. I wanted him to bring like a base up and just throw it and just yell the false start. That was clearly obvious.
Yeah. 913-912-4810. 913-3810-810. Tracy next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Tracy, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, I just have a question, man, about the tush push.
Yeah.
All right. So, as Philadelphia were offsides, and they were, but the Chiefs were in the neutral zone too. Every time they were in the neutral zone, so the calls were even to me. They were when the Chiefs were winning all these Super Bowls, and I'm not a Chiefs hater, but when they was winning all these Super Bowls and getting calls go their way, this radio station wasn't saying anything.
Well,
now,
which calls, Tracy?
Calls questionable on both sides that didn't get called, and then the tush push. Hey, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, but the Eagles were offside, but the Chiefs were in the neutral zone. Every freaking time they were in the neutral zone and didn't get called. So why are you guys bitching and complaining this morning? Have a great day.
So hold on, Tracy. Tracy, hold on. I'm just saying officiate it correctly. I'm fine with the play being in. But hold on, Tracy. Hold on. I spent the first hour and 10 minutes, Sterling and I even talked about it, that we didn't mention the tush push until I think 11:15 is the first time. I know, but I just want to say, like last year when we're talking about plays, or the last couple of years that plays or calls that have been gone their way, I would just wonder like which ones went their way that were officiated incorrectly is sort of the point.
Okay, the first Super Bowl, they called that holding penalty.
Was it holding?
On I forget the defensive back in the first Super Bowl.
Was it holding?
There wasn't a penalty called all game long.
Was it holding?
And mysteriously, there
no
was
penalties were called the whole.
To give Mahomes a first.
Was there a penalty?
Right, to give Mahomes a
Was it a
first
penalty?
down.
Was it a holding
Last
call?
night, Mahomes
Was it a holding
did
call,
get
Tracy?
touched in the face, but it wasn't enough to warrant a first down. His helmet, the player's hand did hit Mahomes' helmet, but it wasn't a roughing the penalty call.
Well, that can be reviewed now. So if that can be reviewed now.
They gave him 3 chances to make a first
Tracy,
down.
that can be reviewed now.
4 chances.
That can be reviewed now. So if it wasn't, if it didn't rise to that level, then it can be reviewed and changed. But my point being, was it a hold in the Super Bowl? Did he hold him? So you're complaining, but you're complaining that it was officiated correctly. You just didn't. You thought it should have been officiated differently throughout the game.
They just called it at the opportune time because the player even admitted that he did held.
I know.
They were both holding all game long, and they just happened to call it to give Mahomes another shot.
Or it's the one that they saw.
They did. The player even admitted said he did hold.
Right.
He did hold. He did hold. So the call was right.
Okay.
He did hold, but that call hadn't been called all game.
And we have video evidence of all of the calls that weren't called all game of the holds and everything.
I don't know about
that
all of that.
we saw the officials were looking at that. Like that one was exposed on its own.
Chiefs Kingdom is mad and upset today because they're not getting calls go their way. We got calls for 5 years.
You think that's why Chiefs fans are upset is because the tush push didn't
won 3 of them. Be happy. Football is a copycat league. No one is afraid of the Chiefs anymore, sir. No one is afraid.
That's fine.
Tracy, do not have not one weapon on offense that will scare anybody except 15.
Tracy, I'm not mad at the tush push. Honestly, I'm not even that mad with the refs. I mean, as part of it, what I'm mad at is Travis Kelce dropping the touchdown. I'm mad that the offense can't get anything on the ground. I'm mad that it's the highest paid offensive line in football, and they have struggled to get anything going. This was just the tush push was a separate conversation. I'm mad that the offense is as bad bad.
Tracy,
That's what I'm mad at.
Real quick, and I'll let you finish. I promise.
All right, buddy.
Real quick, and I'll let you finish. I'll let you get the last word, bud. I think the complaining about the tush push and Chiefs fans being upset is a little why they lost. I think is a little mischaracterization of it. I think the frustration comes in, Tracy, that when the Chiefs would have calls go their way, whether correct or not, it was a big deal across the league. And I think Chiefs fans are sort of frustrated with, why isn't this being made a big deal? Why aren't they saying the Eagles got lucky or the Eagles were fortunate, the way that it was sort of created around the Chiefs? But I also think from what I've seen, Tracy, just me personally, I've seen a lot of people that said, it should be officiated correctly, but that's not why they lost is because of that play or this play. They, got stopped on their own fourth down at their own 36. They missed a field goal. They got an interception, in the end zone. They had missed, open receivers by, Patrick Mahomes. They had opportunities in the game. I think this becomes a story because of the officials conversation for the last, as you said, 3, 4, 5 years. That's all.
Well, again, Jason, I talk to Saran all the time, and I've called your show too several times. So I'm not a Chiefs hater. I'm just saying that the tush push is a play that they have perfected. Mm-hmm. They have perfected it, and then people get mad because they can't stop that play, and if they can't stop it. And so yesterday, I will agree with you and all of Chiefs Kingdom that there was missed calls on both sides. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were offsides, but the Chiefs were in the neutral zone too and didn't get called.
Well, they got called
I'm
once,
just thinking that
they didn't get called every
on
time.
both sides yesterday. That's all I'm saying, Chiefs Kingdom. Hey, I am a KU Chiefs fan, but I'm not a hater. But I just like it to be called both ways. Hey, fellas, have a great day.
Tracy, you too, man. I appreciate it. 913-381-0810. But I agree that, call it both ways. They did get called for offsides, the Chiefs did. And I think that's also part of the frustration is, okay, so they got called for offsides, but a false start was allowed to go twice. And I will also point out there was one of the false starts, I believe, that the Chiefs had a hand in the neutral zone in that one as well.
The Chiefs were offsides on that play every single time.
Well, I don't know about every single time.
I think most times. If you look at the line,
they attempted it 7 times.
They
got
smacked
5 of them.
the ball. I mean, again, I'm not disagreeing.
Because I also pointed that out too. Like they didn't call the false start or the Chiefs hitting the football. But that's just how blind they are to officiating that particular play.
That's kind of the whole point of it's an impossible play to call. I don't think you have to take it out of the game, but there has to be some sort of way to officiate it correctly because, again, the Eagles are the best at that. We saw the Bills try this multiple times, and the Bills got stopped.
Yeah.
Teams, there's a reason why not every single team does a tush push.
Chiefs have been pretty good, comparatively speaking, at stopping those quarterback sneaks that are successful from Josh Allen and from Jalen Hurts. Again, they stopped them twice yesterday on a tush push. One at the goal, 3rd and goal at the 1, and then 2nd and 1 when they were running out the clock late in the game. They picked up the first down on 3rd and 1.
It is not why the Chiefs lost. The Chiefs lost for a multitude of reasons. Yeah. Again, there is a litany of offensive issues that flummox me and somehow flummox this team.
They scored 17 points. That ain't the tush push.
And I've talked about it, and I've actually been not a Matt Nagy supporter, but I've been agnostic on it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That's how I am as well.
I for the longest time, I'm like, you're blaming the wrong guy. I don't think he does a ton, right? We know Andy Reid. He's a play caller. He's the offensive guy. It's not like it is Nick Sirianni where you're basically just the GM almost or the of a company. You're not Dan Campbell. You're not Raheem Morris, right? No. Andy is the offensive guy. That's what he has his hand in. So Matt Nagy, I thought at times, was a scapegoat, but I think it is time to at least start having a conversation because I said it with Royals fire Zumwalt. Remember the whole Zumwalt stuff?
Yeah.
And I go, that comes with the job.
Yeah.
If the guys look good, you get the credit. When the guys look bad, sorry, you're the issue. Fair or not, that comes with the job, that comes with the territory. Yeah. OC's the same thing in football. Matt Nagy, it might not be his fault. I'm sorry, Matt. This might not be your fault. Quite frankly, it probably isn't your fault. Well, but end of the day, to me, at least to me, Jason, it comes with the territory if someone is going to have to get removed, if someone's going to have to change in the organization, that comes with a job and comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Fair not. OC is that. Hitting coach is that. Pitching coach is that. We've seen the same stagnant offense for a long, long time. Sometimes you just have to switch it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, the same conversation around Eric Bieniemy. And one of the things that I talked about when Eric Bieniemy took the job with the Commanders at the time, and people were saying, okay, what's the loss of Eric Bieniemy? And my point was, or at least my opinion on it, was that, as far as the plays being called, like, it's still Andy Reid's offense. He's got 51%. So Andy Reid's calling the plays. Matt Nagy or whoever is relaying the plays then to Patrick Mahomes. But there is a red ass to Eric Bieniemy of you will not get away with cutting corners or not being as fine and perfect on this play as you were expected to be. There was a level of that, and I don't know if Matt Nagy or anyone else holds them to that. I don't know. But my opinion and my answer when I was questioned about that was, I don't know what the loss of Eric Bieniemy is going to be, but I know there was a level of Eric Bieniemy that if you came off the sideline and didn't do what you were supposed to do, you were answering to him. Maybe there was a level of him getting more out of you than maybe you expected because there was a level that he was holding you to. Maybe that's going on, maybe it's not. But the play calls and all of that stuff, that's still Andy Reid. This is Andy Reid's offense. And there is a very, very evident lack of creativity in the run game, that it's just the same over and over again, and it looks like they are running the ball in a phone booth.
They went from Bieniemy as OC. He was running backs coach until 17. He took over in 18. Again, this is just not the end-all be-all.
I mean, look what Bieniemy did from 17 to 18. Look at the difference in offense from 17 to 18. That's Bieniemy, right?
It was 9-point difference.
Name something else that happened from 17 to 18 besides Bieniemy taking over. It's the only thing I can think of.
Chiefs averaged 35.3 points a game, which is absurd. That's why we're all like this, because they gave us offensive crack for years, and then they took away our crack, and now we're addicts. 2019, 28.2, 2020, 29.6. 2021 at 28.2. Last year of Bieniemy in 22, 29.2. 23, 21.8. 24, 22.6. Again, I understand Tyreek Hill and all that stuff, but the point still has to be. It wasn't 8 points a game.
Yeah. Defenses have also evolved to where they're not allowing teams to, across the board, not allowing teams to get those chunk plays. They are pushing everything in front of them and muddying the waters more for almost every offense out there, where there was a lot of single high, man-to-man, like you could take advantage of some of those things that the Chiefs were doing that really no defense is doing anymore.
It is insane that from 2018 to basically now, that is 2 touchdowns a game difference of offense.
Yeah.
35.3 to 21.8.
And they were pretty, if you look back, I think they were pretty successful in the red zone. I think they would get to inside the 20 and they would score. Uncle Charlie next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Charlie Wilson?
That's right. Charlie, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to make a quick comment on this last caller you guys had about neutral zone infractions. Chiefs getting all the calls. He's a Bills fan. I just think he just bandwagon because Chief hating. People just want to call out there and make excuses for their team not getting over the hump, on the playoffs, and that's all I got to say.
Charlie, I appreciate the phone call, man. 913-381-810. Let's bring in Andre to the conversation. Andre, go right ahead. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, I just want to follow up, man, on this deal with Matt Nagy and the Chiefs offense, man. I mean, this offense has been stagnant, not at the 30-point range, man, ever since Matt Nagy got here. I think we came down like 6 or 7 points per game since he showed up. Now, I'm not saying it's all his fault, but when it comes to Pat Mahomes, and we got so used to him playing hero ball out there, man, I really appreciate it when Pat drops back in the pocket and he hits that back foot and the ball comes out. And that tells me that something's going good with the scheme, that he's read it before, the snap. He knows where he's going with the football. But now it seems like our offense, the way it runs now, he gets back in the pocket and he's looking for escape routes all the time. I don't know if it has just everything to do with the offensive line, but I definitely would like to see something happen with the scheme where the man hits his back foot and the ball comes out. He doesn't have to scramble around all the time looking for somebody and ad-libbing on offense. I think that's where we're kind of falling behind his offense, man. He's not hitting the back foot. The ball is not coming out on time, and that concerns me. And I don't know who works with Pat on that, what's going on with the scheme, but I'd like to see more of that with the offense, man, and that's all I got.
Andre, I appreciate the phone call, man, and I think there are some things there. I think Andre brings up some points, some things that we discussed earlier in the show as well, that I compared it to a guy who can hit threes but is not a quote-unquote three-point shooter, that sometimes early in the game a guy hits a couple of quick threes and then starts launching them up. Mahomes early in the game was finding those seams and those gaps to run through and was picking up chunk yardage. And then as the game went along, it felt like at times he was dropping back and then looking at the defensive line for this escape route to go and run, as opposed to let me drop back, hit the back foot, Reed's there, boom, or my READ, Reed is there, let me fire the football here or go through the progression. Because he was so successful at running the football, sometimes they're in man-to-man, they're down the field, let me sneak through this little outlet and go pick up 10, 15 yards and keep the line moving. Let's bring in Bob, last one here as we take a break. Bob, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, I just wanted to say thanks, guys. I love your show, but it feels like to me that a lot of Chiefs haters out there are feeling a little angst right now because they see a team that they want to be bad, but they see them being so close. The rest of the league better be on notice by week 7. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Bob, I appreciate the phone call. We'll go to break on that. More Zone coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up in the next segment. Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock. On the Twittersphere, tweet comes in and says, from Jim Wood, says it might more be time to have a discussion about Andy Heck. I will say, in the game yesterday, we saw maybe the best offensive line coach against one of the maybe more overrated offensive line coaches out there. We saw maybe the best in Jeff Stoutland, and we saw a guy who gets a lot of credit in Andy Heck that not sure what's going on when he's got the most expensive offensive line, and it's a few years in a row now where he can't get this thing working to a degree that is going to protect Patrick Mahomes to a level that needs to protect Patrick Mahomes, and especially last year in that continuing to not get figured out, and Jawan Taylor continuing to not get figured out, a run game that sucks because also the blocking in the run game has not been good this year, where the Eagles are taking their draft picks and guys and turning them into the best offensive line in the league. We saw one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, and he went up against an offensive line coach that for some reason is viewed as one of the best, but I'm not really sure that's the case.
I've brought it up for a while now,
Yeah.
and the hard part is when you're going to Super Bowls, you've won Super Bowls.
Right, yeah.
It's hard to make changes.
Yeah.
But at times it gets stale, and you see the cracks in the foundation. We've seen the cracks in the foundation, I think, for a couple of years now. You know, it was why I think they stuck with Bob Sutton so long, because you're like, well, they've been somewhat successful, and the defense hasn't been, but, like, how do you fire a guy who went to the AFC Championship game, right? Like,
yeah.
But at some point you have to make that hard decision, and it feels like the Chiefs no one likes to, but they very rarely make that hard decision.
Yeah.
And Andy Heck now, I think for a couple of years, the reputation has preceded him. I think Matt Nagy, to an extent, they brought him back. Oh, well, we know him. We know him, and he was good as a quarterback's coach when Bieniemy was here. And so, well, we know him. And he was the OC too, I guess, at one point before he went to the Bears. But we know him. So let's bring him back.
He's coach of the year, Matt Nagy.
At some point, it gets stale, it gets old, and you have to change, because if you stay stagnant, other teams are improving. And that's my worry at times, as has the Chiefs, not Andy necessarily or Spagnuolo, but has the message gone stale? Have they stagnated instead of improved and changed and evolved?
Yeah, I mean, and the answer to that is we'll find out this year, because they've been to 3 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
They lost the Super Bowl. Well, the offensive line wasn't good enough to go up against one of the best defensive lines and an incredibly good Eagles team. Like, that Eagles team was studly across the board. And it may not be the same personnel-wise this year, but they're still one of the best teams in the league, one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. And I think the Chiefs are also one of the teams that can win a Super Bowl, because they've got Andy Reid and they've got Spags and they have number 15. So anytime you've got that, you've got a chance. But we have to see how the personnel holds up the rest of the year. And also, we have to see if the rest of the year, if Noel Williams develops, if he becomes a reliable outside corner, if Ashton Gelati becomes a guy you can rely on to play more snaps and maybe in place of Mike Dana, if Omar Norman Lott has more plays like we saw him decleating Jalen Hurts in that game, if he has more of those standout plays, if Brian Cook plays more to the level that he played like in that game against the Eagles, more of those things, while having your Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, 2 dynamic playmakers on your team, back and healthy, hopefully that happens, then we might be talking about a completely different team while going out and winning some of these games if they've got their full allotment of players. We might be seeing a team that's scoring 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals every game. It's like, well, they're going to score on 6 drives, and 4 of those are going to be touchdowns because they get into a tough spot and they find a way to get the ball to Worthy or Rice, and they just simply make a play. Or you've got Mahomes running the ball. I mean, and maybe over the course of the year, there becomes more of a trust in the offensive line holding up for Mahomes, as opposed to what could very well still be scar tissue for Mahomes right now from the last 2 years, and especially last year when the offensive line continued to break down and clear and obvious habits were formed with Mahomes. That it's tough to break some habits from time to time. And I think we still see that from time to time. But I will also take the habits of Mahomes over any other quarterback in the league because I've seen it, and I've seen it come, rubber meets the road time in the playoffs, and he gets the job done. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up next.
A couple of those didn't work out, and I've got full confidence we'll get that cleaned up too, as far as the execution of it. So, anyways, with that, time's yours.
First, just to follow up on the fourth down, you kind of mentioned it was circumstantial for this game, but your tries are up, with the first two games. I was wondering if there was anything with Mike Frazier where maybe you have changed to more of an aggressive book, or again, just a small sample size circumstantial.
Yeah, we've always been one of the top teams in the league to go for it on fourth down. So I've done that for years. So anyways, I'd tell you no.
Okay. And then the other one is just considering 0-2. Sometimes, obviously it can get away from you a little bit with other teams that we've seen. I guess just how do you make sure that the room stays together as you approach week 3?
Yeah, I trust this group. I mean, this group's a good group, got good leadership, and they'll stay together. It's and they'll work hard on cleaning things up. There's nobody more aware of it than the guys. So, and we'll make sure we get back to the drawing board. Like I said, this game here was more on the offensive side. We've got to take care of that.
So there's Andy Reid. The Chiefs are tied in the NFL with the most fourth down attempts with 6 so far this year, tied with Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers. The Indianapolis Colts have gone for it 5 times as well. But Colts, Lions, Jets have 5 attempts. Browns, Panthers, and Chiefs have 6 fourth down attempts.
I had them 21st last year in attempts as teams. They went for it 17 times.
So they went for it 17 times last year. They've gone for it 6 times already through 2 games.
They went for it 20 times in 23, which is 19th in the NFL. I felt like when he said that they're always towards the top of that, I was like, I don't believe you. I feel like you're lying to me right now. And
they'd be pacing for 51 fourth down attempts, which would be more than double than any other year that they have, as you've talked about, when they're sitting at 20, 21. They're pacing for 51 this year. It's through 2 games. But
I'm even talking about in the league.
I know.
But I'm not talking how many times they go for. They were 24th and 22, 19th.
But you said
and 23.
you said they were 21 attempts, right?
Yeah, but they've never. From what I've seen, the past 3 years, they've not been higher than 19th in the NFL in go-for-it rate. So when Andy says that they've been more aggressive than most teams, unless numbers are lying to me, that is false.
They went for it 17 times last year.
That's what I said. But they were 21st,
right.
Ranked 21st.
So 17 times last year.
24th and 21.
Which is 1 per game, and they're averaging 3 per game right now. So, yeah, it's a little bit different.
They went for it 24th in the NFL in 21. So they're lying to you.
Yeah.
They're not aggressive on
He
fourth
hasn't
down.
been one of those guys that's typically done that. And
Correct.
we've argued that he should do that, and he's doing it this year. But is he doing it because he's more aggressive, or is he doing it out of necessity that he's trying to get something going because his offense isn't consistent enough, and you don't know how many times you're going to get the ball with the lead? What they've led for, they led 10-7 in this game, was the only time that they've led this year. They didn't lead against the Chargers at all, right? Did they ever have a lead against the Chargers? They were down 7-0, 10-0, 10-3, 13-3, 13-6, 13-12, 20-12, 20-18, 27-18. Then 27-21. So they never led in the game against the Chargers, and they led in this game 10-7. So that's the only time in 2 games they've had a lead. Here's Andy Reid explaining why Josh Simmons left the game briefly in the first half and how well he has played so far.
Yeah, he came off. He was dehydrated a little bit, kind of. So they got him fixed up there with some liquids, and then as far as Josh's performance goes, he's getting better. He's had a couple nice challenges here the last couple of weeks. I have another one coming this week, but I felt like he was getting better. There's some things he's got to clean up and some of the detail stuff within the run game and the pass game protection stuff. But I thought he did a nice job of stepping up in this game.
Hey, Andy, you've taken full responsibility for this loss, and you guys aren't about making excuses. You've made that clear. But the broadcast did show a couple times where it appeared the Eagles moved quickly on the tush push. I just wonder if the play is going to stay. Is there anything that you want to see change with the rule enforcement with that?
Yeah, that's I think it's you know the answer to it, Jesse. I mean, it's if guys are moving early, then you've got you've got to call that. So they'll go back and look at that and see what their evaluation is of it. It could be different than mine. I felt like the guys were moving. That's why I was griping about it, and on the sideline there. So it's with the officials, but sometimes people see things different. So we'll see where it goes. They'll have a chance to evaluate it, and I'll be curious to see what the response is.
The interesting part is, to me, the second one, which isn't as big of an impactful play as the first one, because the first one was 4th and goal from the 1. The second one, the false start, was 2nd and 1 when they were running out the clock. The interesting part is they had the Chiefs had already complained to those officials about their moving early, and the very next time they attempted it, they also false started, and the official just stood there and didn't do anything. So it's not like, Jawan Taylor jumps early. Hey, Jawan Taylor jumps early. You should watch it. He's lining up in an illegal formation. You should check that out. Well, they have. Let's hear one more. Go ahead.
Real quick on Josh Simmons, because I thought it was interesting. We can get into a longer conversation of this, but I wanted to check PFF. It's now updated online for week 2. It was noticeable. Josh Simmons, you want to take a guess on his pass block grade week 2?
Good.
87.8.
See,
elite, and that's elite. His overall grade was 69.3 because his run block grade was
rough,
bad. But
did anybody have a good run block grade?
Pass block is why they drafted him where they drafted him,
100%.
and so I wanted to just back up the eye test versus that. Josh Simmons graded out exceptionally in pass block.
Let's hear one more from Andy Reid. Matt Derrick asked Andy about Ashton Gelati and Noel Williams stepping up in the game.
Yeah, I would tell you, I thought they did a solid job in there. I liked the effort. I liked them hustling, getting themselves to the ball, getting off blocks up front. I thought Williams did a nice job on a couple of the coverages down the field. I thought they were very respectable.
And you mentioned in your open remarks about the execution, and you had said in your press conference yesterday that you called some plays that were available but maybe didn't get done the way you wanted to. Going forward, how much of that is just continuing to focus on execution versus how much of it is maybe changing some of the things that you do or the way you're going about them to put guys in those better positions?
Yeah. So Matt, there were things on there that I could have called. I was doing that in comparison too. So there were some things that we could have executed better. There's some things that I could have put our players in a better position on, and there's some calls that I could have used that I didn't use. And so I've got to make sure I take care of that part first, and then give the guys a better opportunity to do their job.
Yeah, that clearly wasn't executed on 4th and 1 at their own 36. It was blown up pretty quickly, and I gave my thoughts on my issues with that particular play call. Not necessarily well, you didn't get it, so you call a different play, and I'm not mad about going for it. I just I hated the play. I hated the play because the play really hinges on one of your worst run blockers in Jawan Taylor having a reach block to block down, which is something he's not strong at, against one of the best defensive tackles in the league in Jalen Carter. And if he doesn't make that block, the play can be blown up. Then that's not something I can call on 4th and 1 at my own 36. I can't rely on, if Jawan Taylor does not get this block on Jalen Carter, then the whole play is blown up. Because I'm pulling Creed Humphrey, and Robert Tonyan's running by Nolan Smith for some reason, and Nolan Smith is a free runner to blow up the lead block, which was Noah Gray, in the backfield to set the edge. And if the edge is set, Kareem Hunt isn't fast enough to then bounce it outside to then gain an edge. So he has to then cut it back, and the cutback is reliant on Jawan Taylor making the block. Again, it comes back to that. That specific play call didn't make sense. Putting one of your worst players at doing something and relying on him doing that against one of the best players in the league at countering what is already a weakness for that player. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Mick Schaefer hanging out with us. He is presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. Experience world-class sports facilities, including an ice rink, turf field, and state-of-the-art courts, arcade games, laser tag, bowling, and sports simulators, and a bar and grill. Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk, where sports and entertainment collide. Mick and hot takes colliding for the next hour.
Oh, man, I'm sure they're really hot. Sure, they haven't been said at all.
Based on what the first 2 weeks have gone, what do you think the Chiefs' record is pacing for?
We've made vacation plans for January.
Might as well, right?
Might as well.
They are pacing for 0-17.
That's their pace?
Yeah, they are pacing to go 0-17, and that would be, I don't think they get in the postseason with that, but we'll have to wait
Chiefs
for
do get all the calls. Maybe they make that call of like, we're putting the Chiefs in.
No, if the Bills did that, then they would change the rules for the Bills and Josh Allen to get in, but not for the
What
Chiefs.
does the AP think, though? If they're Notre Dame, I mean, Notre Dame's 0-2, and they're
What does the
still
College
ranked
Football
high.
Playoff Committee think? Like, listen, I know this team is 0-7, but they have so many 5-stars.
You're right.
So many guys are going to get drafted. They've battled injuries here. I really think we're not looking for who deserves it. We're looking for best.
Right.
This team is best.
And those 7 losses are like by a combined 42 points. So, I mean, a play here or there, 7 different games. We're talking about maybe a 7-0 team.
100%.
I laughed. I tweeted out before the poll got released. I said, I can't wait for 0-2 Notre Dame to be ranked ahead of Missouri, and they were one spot behind. I'm like, what are we doing? Like,
somebody had Notre Dame ranked 10th.
They don't watch ball.
Somebody had South Carolina ranked 10th.
They don't watch ball. Like,
did you see that lady last week who
Florida.
moved Florida up after losing to South Florida?
Did you hear her give her response too?
Yeah,
it
I
was
got
like,
dumber.
Well, I actually have my own. We don't like to talk about it, but I have my own strategies.
We don't really want to get into it. No, we do actually.
We do want to get because
she shut down her social media.
Like you can't even
Was her name
check
Brenna?
box scores.
So I was, due to a clerical error, I was supposed to vote in this year's AP Top 25 for college football. Didn't happen.
Why?
I think I'll get it. Why?
What was the clerical error?
I'm not sure.
They sent it to Mitch Schaefer?
No, because they want like a certain number for each state, like one in each state or whatever.
Okay.
And I think I was Missouri before, and Missouri got picked up, and Kansas always failed. But that's fine. I'm going to do basketball again, and Dave Scrutta, who's awesome, he's the local AP guy, and he's the one that's suckering me into this. And so I think next year I'll be able to.
I
texted him. I'm like, I go, that would have been me as an AP voter.
Dude, I just don't
He's
understand
like, I hope not.
I know
this.
Blair's one of the local representatives.
And his is good
Is
because
he voting this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
He at least
He has Missouri
knows
17th, I think.
ball.
Yeah.
Like, my point is, I get you can't watch every minute of every game. I'm not asking you to do that. But, like, check box scores. If South Carolina gets their ass kicked by Vanderbilt, maybe having them 10th is dumb. When Florida loses to University of South Florida, hey, maybe they're not a top 10
but
team.
South Florida's really, really good. Wait till you see what they're going to do to Miami next week.
Notre Dame maybe win a game, not, just go off of, well, I think they're good, but they're 0-2.
Wow, have you seen their helmets, though? Have you seen the sticker on their helmets?
Sparkly.
Or wait, they don't have a sticker, I guess. That's
Dude,
how good
I
they
get
are.
so irritated and irrationally angry with here's an example of this.
Interesting.
So Vanderbilt beat South Carolina.
Yeah.
They count that as a phenomenal win,
Killed
right? That's a great win. I'm not actually saying anything wrong. That's a great win. They moved up ahead of Missouri because of the merits of beating South Carolina. Now, if Missouri beat South Carolina, it doesn't mean anything because South Carolina lost to Vanderbilt. Like, what do we do? Like,
that's a good point.
It
could be that.
Like, what are we doing
that.
here? Like,
could be that.
Wait, either they're good or they're bad.
The line
what are we doing?
The line is crazy, though. It started out at 3, so it was Missouri -3, and now it's Missouri -13.5. In a matter of about 24
The
hours.
one point that young woman made that was correct is like that's why we have a lot of voters, and
true.
so that's why you have a lot of voters to make up for, because that's really not going to make a huge difference. Did I hear though that's the first time since like 1988 there's been an 0-2 team in the top 25?
I'm not
I
surprised.
heard that
It was
on the radio
Notre
last
Dame,
night.
so
I haven't checked it.
Well, I can't wait for them to win the next team game because they play against University of Mick Schaefer. Well, it's dumb.
Yeah,
there are only 2 games that are hard. They went 0-2 in.
In Notre Dame's defense, though, I do think you get a bump in the polls based on Brandon Aubrey going there and the field goals he made yesterday. So I do think that's probably part of it, right?
It's part of it. Only Notre Dame, maybe a couple others, but Notre Dame's definitely in this pool. Could you be 0-2 and and then have arguments amongst people about, like, what do you do if they're 10-2, right? How much do we overreact to this overrated program in that, like, after an 0-2 start, and that game could have gone either way against Texas A&M. It's a fun game to watch at the end. Neither team has much of a defense. But
you know what?
In what world are you actually? Let's start a conversation about what if they go 10-2.
Their next, their only hard game they have left
in the college football playoff?
Is what? At Arkansas. That's Missouri's easiest game of their SEC schedule, and yet somehow that's the last hard game.
Well, they play USC. USC's
hard
got USC's
home.
offense, right? But it's still
congratulations. What's their third? Sorry, Soren. Syracuse.
Do they play all the military schools?
They play Navy this year. I think that's all they play.
Boston College.
That's a team that could lose to a military school.
At Pitt.
Absolutely.
Boise State's Buns. Purdue's the worst team in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we doing?
Again, don't worry about that.
No, I'm angry. It's dumb. I hate this. College football pisses me off.
Speaking of which, let's hear the last clip from Andy Reid. I don't know why, speaking of which, I just wanted to change the subject.
I feel like Nick Sirianni right now, and college football made me feel like Nick Sirianni right now. I don't like it.
Well, that's
Does Nick Sirianni get pissed off about top 25 polls? I didn't realize. Does Sirianni get mad about top 25
over little
polls?
things?
I'm just talking about ass right now, which is what the college football voting system is right now.
So you're just mad that Notre Dame is ranked 24th and Vanderbilt's ahead of Missouri?
No, I'm mad at how the process breaks down. I'm mad that Notre Dame's ranked at all. That to me is absurd. You ranked them on what? Definitely not their merit.
Well, they started really high and they lost to two.
That's the whole point. The whole point is that they shouldn't have started high. They're only getting that because people thought going into the season
they were really good last year.
Speaking of being high,
all the time.
Speaking of being high, Sam McDowell, with the question to Andy Reid, asked Andy Reid about the free 4 shirts, which is free Rishi Rice shirts. Trying to read through this. Well, let's just start there. Sam McDowell asked about the free 4 shirts.
Yeah, I've seen it since. I didn't see it then, but I would tell you, I know these guys love Rasheed, and they feel for him sitting out here, and so I think it's no more than that, man. I'm sorry, Sam. I just think that those guys, they love the kid and want him to feel part of it in their own way. I really don't think it's anything more than that, Sam.
Hey, Coach, when you guys are a little thin with the injuries and suspensions and things like that, the margins get a little maybe thinner on hitting those big plays. Is it even tougher at that point to both call the plays, execute the plays? I mean, how do you kind of put that part out and just focus on this is what we're trying to execute no matter who's on the field?
Yeah, Todd, I mean, we trust everybody that comes in there. So and that's the way we approach it. There are no excuses at all for that. And now you're asking me this right after the Rasheed thing. So I get it. But that's not how we roll. I mean, it's not something that the guys trust the guys that are in. They play hard and aggressive and so on. So.
Hey, Andy, going back to Josh Simmons real quick. I know you probably rewatched the game film with a pretty critical eye, but how much did that effort he put forth on the interception to run down Makuba there stand out to you when you watched that film again?
Yeah, Todd, I'd say that was pretty impressive. I mean, that for a big guy to be able to run like that, first of all, is something. You got a chance to see his athletic ability and body control and all that. You'd hate to have it in that situation for it to show up, but that part was impressive, and just his want to get there, I thought was impressive. A lot of guys would, in this league would stand around and watch as opposed to chasing, and he chased along with the other guys. They just weren't quite fast enough to get there, but he did a nice job with that.
It's a terrible play by Josh Simmons. Cost him 5.5 minutes.
However, actually,
on that drive.
So, if officiated correctly, that should have been a 4-point tackle right there.
Yes.
Honestly,
so you're right. Yeah,
that should have been a 4-point tackle.
The 4th and 1 false start.
I get what you're saying too. Yeah, and how did they let him score? Yeah, but That was almost a 4-point tackle.
Look, obviously this is a joke looking back, because at the time you're like, oh my God, he saved a touchdown. Thank God he tackled. Now the defense can get out there and try. But then that was like with 13 and a half minutes to go, and then the Chiefs got back out there with like 7.5 minutes to go.
Such a long drive. That sucks. What a short field, long drive that was.
I mean, right? Just like, oh, here's a first down. Here's a small little game first down. Here's another first down. Here's another first down. Okay, we're going to run 3 times from the 1-yard line.
He reached over 18 miles an hour.
Did he really?
It was over 8. It was the fastest by an offensive lineman.
Dude.
I forget since when. I don't know if it was since ever or since
well,
when.
And then too,
ever. It's like Bucky LaGrange, a little scrappy little no-arm second baseman. Right. He hasn't had a hit in ever.
Bob.
Ever. I mean, it's less than a year since he tore his patellar.
That. And then also to have the athletic ability and wherewithal and just kind of sports sense to take the right angle there.
Yeah, that's
right?
a good point.
To know exactly, okay, you got to take it. I mean, him compared to Makuba, speed-wise, to know the right angle to where, like, okay, I can get to this point the same size, the time that Makuba came.
Probably not a right angle, more probably of an obtuse angle. Probably an obtuse.
Now you're being obtuse.
Yeah, you are.
Now I'm being acute.
I think it was more of an acute angle, right? He wasn't. It's a smaller.
What I think the Chiefs should try, throw the dude at defensive end too. Travis Hunter, this bad boy. Have Josh Simmons both play offensive defense.
You're saying it could be equilateral with his impact on the game?
Yeah, I think it could be amphibious because
I guess that would make sense.
No, because hear me out. There's no pass rush for the Chiefs. This guy has an 87.8 pass block grade against the Eagles. He knows what the offensive lineman and how to be a great offensive lineman. He knows how to do the opposite of that. I'm just saying, we saw him get to 18 miles an hour. I am being facetious, but only slightly because the pass rush of KC is brutal.
I hope you're being 100%.
I am, but the pass rush is brutal for KC, and that was a great angle by Josh Simmons.
The first question there from Sam McDowell about the free 4 shirts, essentially the free Rashee Rice. One, it is literal because he right now is free. Because he's not getting paid right now because he's suspended. So so he is free. It is free Rice right now. So they're
he's
not
out of
paying
jail, which won't be the case.
And he's also free
apparently for 30 days coming up
from
in
that
the future.
standpoint too. So it is multiple ways that he is free. It's also, by the way, terrible look.
It's completely tone deaf.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, he just want him to feel a part of it. Start a text thread. How about that?
Send him some videos from the locker room.
Hey, what's up, man? We're getting ready to go play. Miss you. See you against the Raiders, man. You know we're thinking about you. Let's go get a win, guys. Send.
Put his jersey on a mannequin on the sideline. That would be a better look than him or than those people wearing the jerseys.
Put his jersey on a mannequin in the locker room and then take it down before the media gets in there.
And it doesn't even make sense. I remember at KU they had the free check, right? Because the NCAA wasn't even weighing in. They didn't know. You know this guy's punishment. You know Rice's punishment. There's no free. They determine it. You know when he's coming back. I mean,
it's
not like oh, you know what? I'm seeing this protest. Come on back after 3 games, Rashee.
It would be if it was he's been suspended indefinitely until Roger Goodell can meet with him to go over his case. Well, free Rashee Rice. Let's get this done. Either let him play or figure it out. He agreed to the plea deal with the state. And he agreed to the suspension with Roger Goodell. Yeah. Like, there's nothing to free there. It's just dumb. It's just really stupid.
Then consider the act and A, how bad it was, but B, how horrible it could have ended up.
Yeah. I mean, just like this, he free him from the consequences of his own actions.
Decisions. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like, it was
free him from bad decisions.
Yeah, very, very tone deaf there by those that wore the shirt. But Andy Reid, I don't know. I would guess that Andy Reid isn't a fan of it, but then at the same time, Andy Reid's also sort of like, well, it's their personality. I'll let the guys do what they want to do. But
he's not going to fight that battle.
I don't know that Clark Hunt's a fan of it. I would say that's probably.
Yeah, and I do agree with him. They're probably not thinking much beyond that. They're like, wait, let's do something for Rashee and
free 4.
Hopefully they didn't consider like, oh, wait a second, how would this look? And he did do something that was really dumb. It resulted in people getting injured. And it could have resulted in people dying. Maybe we don't do this. Hopefully they didn't get that far. They're like, let's make a shirt. Awesome. Wear it. And I'm going to pay attention to the playbook after that.
So to get the shirt. Anybody? The free In Spags We Trust shirts were awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to say, those ones are cool, but they kind of lost me with the free 4.
Yeah, right. I mean, but he is free right now. They aren't paying him a dime. So,
they were going to wear those, and they had the Chargers game. Like, well, we don't trust in Spags anymore. That defensive effort.
Spags We Trust.
Now we're back to trusting him.
Yeah, now they need to
yesterday's defensive effort.
Yeah. So there you go. Mick Schaefer is with us this, Mick, are you panicked, concerned, mad, okay? Where do you fall after this particular game? 0-2.
Yeah.
In how they end up losing.
I'm even keeled. I think the record doesn't have me concerned. I know, what is that? The number of 0-2 teams that
11% of 0-2 teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, that is a stat that tells me that most 0-2 teams are bad teams, and most bad teams don't make the playoffs. That is just a logical thing. It's not like we're playing a 5-game series, right? And you're down 0-2. There's 17 games. The 0-2 doesn't concern me. We've been here before. This has been they've been under 500. Obviously 0-1 before. They were 3-4, I want to say, in 2021 after that disastrous Titans game.
Oh, yeah.
And then they got it back together and figured things out. I was doing the math last night. The longest winning streaks in every Patrick Mahomes season, and I averaged them up. Now, his first season, somehow, they had I think they had 2 5-game win streaks, which is, I mean, he usually has a couple long win streaks. But that was his lowest. This is a 5-game win streak. He had a couple 6s, a 7. I think he's had 2 8 or 2 9s or something like that, and a 10. And so averaged out, the longest win streak in a season with Patrick Mahomes is like 7.7 games. So if I see a 6 or a 7 gamer right in the future, it would be no problem because this team does it every year. But I think next week, if they lose, then yes, be panicked.
Yeah, I mean,
they lose in the Giants, I'm not even saying win a close, ugly game because that's what this team does. They win close, ugly games. Even when they're going to Super Bowls, they barely beat the Panthers.
Yeah,
they barely beat a bad Raiders team.
The Giants, actually, remember that a few years ago, and it was a whole.
I think that was that same year. Was that 21? Would have been 4 years ago because that's the rotation.
Yeah,
it was like 20-19,
20-17,
2017 on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it was awful.
And a game they could have lost. So I'm not.
And that was at home. I mean,
I'm not even saying you win ugly.
Yeah.
But if it's a loss, it's 0-3, and maybe you start to look at record more. But I think then at that point you're like, okay, maybe this is an average team.
If they do win on Sunday night, it would be coincidental. I don't know that it would be a trend because it would be only the 2 times that they've done it, but they would be post Super Bowl loss. They would start 1-2 both years. Because 21 they started 1-2 after losing to the Bucs, and if they win on Sunday, they'd better start 1-2. They'd better be a 1-2 start.
Better start 1-2. And then we talked about last night. I feel a little bit better about the team after this loss than I did in week 1.
Right.
I do. I think the main concern, because defensively they looked outstanding.
Yeah.
I think defensively they look great. You can take some takeaways, and there's no moral victories. I mean, it's not like your second graders getting clementines after a baseball game, right? It's not t-ball here. Wins and losses are the overall.
Second graders don't play t-ball, but whatever.
I don't know, man.
The bad ones do.
Yeah,
the bad
mixed
kids
did.
If you're a second grader playing t-ball, you know what? Advance at your own pace, man. Do what you want to do, whatever you think is best.
He
for
identifies as a kindergartner.
But there are some positives.
Reads at a 4th grade level, though.
Some positives you can take away. Again, the offensive line, I think, with Josh Simmons leading the charge there. I mean, he was really good in pass pro. Run block has a massive issue, and that's where I think the major issues arise. As you look around the NFL on any given Sunday, and you see, I was actually. I was being serious, not facetious here, Mick. How many running backs do you have to get to before you would say, okay, yeah, Pacheco or Hunt, that's where I would take them. That's where I'd put
around
them.
The league.
Around the league. I said 40?
Any running back around the league. You start drafting running backs before you get to Pacheco or Kareem Hunt.
At least 30, probably. Yeah.
I mean,
because there's multiple on teams.
There's going to be a lot of backups.
Tyrone Tracy and Scadaboo.
Yeah.
I'll take both of them.
Take both,
You're playing them this weekend, so you take both of them
yeah.
over Pacheco or Hunt right now.
Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. I saw both those guys. Like, yeah, I would have both those guys easily over.
They couldn't run the ball with Tooney, though, either. This has been a trend, and I'm starting to think I've always been like, all right, you take care of
but Tooney isn't fast enough to run the football, though.
True,
so I agree with you. They can't run the ball.
They never gave him the ball, but they never gave him a chance.
Yes.
I've always been like, you take care of the guys up front. There's going to be, 100 dudes you can put in the backfield that can pick up yardage.
Maybe it's 30 guys you can put in the backfield and they can pick up yardage.
But I mean, I just with a great offensive line, though. I mean, I feel like it's harder to get the big guys who know what they're doing, who are tough, who can run block, than it is to get a guy with good speed who can read the holes fairly well. But they don't have. They don't have those guys to make up for any sort of lack in offensive line play.
You watch around the NFL, and again, it's not even that I'm with you. I think offensive line is more important than the running back itself, right? I'm not disagreeing with that argument, But the point
in
general, right? But and scheme plays a huge factor. Like San Fran does such a good job in Miami.
I don't think Terrell Davis was an all-time back without that offensive line.
No,
he had it in Denver. You know what I'm
agreed. But I think, like, for example, if you put Jordan Mason behind this offensive line, he's giving you on 10 carries 50 yards. There were so many situations, even in yesterday's game, where first contact, they're done, they're down, there's a hole. Yeah, we're not going to run that way. Kareem Hunt doesn't have the juice, and he's giving you 3 yards a carry. A consistent 3 yards. You 4th and 1. Yeah, a lot of times, not every time, he's probably getting that. Pacheco, he moves his feet quick. He's good at ladder drills. But
there's no and why, last week with Matt Derrick, we both said at the same time, we said there's a player that you'd like to see a little bit more on the team because there's some juice, and we said 1, 2, 3, John Stamos, and then we became best friends. But we said Brashard Smith, he carried the ball 1 time, 2 yards. So that's an improvement from not carrying the ball and touching it last week.
Yes, so.
He got a target, so there's at least 2 times they tried to get him the ball.
To be though, and just
Brashard
hoping
Smith,
on the third running back who we've never really seen.
They don't have a guy who can break a long.
It was a late round pick,
a 7th rounder, by the way. It's not
exactly.
like
you're just hoping. It's like
right.
We haven't seen him, so he might be better because we know the ceiling on these other guys. But I think that has to be an area where they invest. And look, it's part of it is too why I think the passing game struggles. That there's nobody out there pass catcher wise where you feel like you need to commit 2 guys to.
Well,
at all.
Right.
And that affects the run game as well.
The all
right?
22,
it affects the run game as well.
The all 22 of Patrick Mahomes' touchdown run. There's nobody has a yard separated.
No.
And in fact,
and on his sacks too.
And it looks like the play is designed for Hollywood to come over the middle. But you know why he didn't go over the middle? Because he fell. He fell down, which then Mahomes sees him slip and fall and has to escape to his right. Luckily, Jawan Taylor did not hold on that particular play.
Didn't get it called.
And so he escapes right and he scores the touchdown. But the all 22 of that, it's like, who in the world would be open here?
When you see those all 22s, you're like, that's the issue when you had a Tyreek, when you had Travis. When you had Tyreek and Travis. And here's the deal. We've seen Mahomes win a Super Bowl with Juju Smith-Schuster as the number 1 receiver. We've seen him turn, Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore into. We've seen him throw. I mean, McCole Hardman has one of the most iconic endings of Super Bowl history. McCole Hardman. Yeah. We've seen him turn those guys into, big time guys that can make big plays in big games, if not consistently every week. And so we kind of expect it from Mahomes. It's not happening with this crew.
I think the difference with that Eagles Super Bowl when they had Juju and MVS and Sky is that they also had playing at a high level Travis Kelce, who was
100%.
Younger. Now it's an older Travis Kelce who looks pissed just to be on the field. Yeah, he looks like every play he looks pissed off about something for whatever reason. I don't know.
Here's I think a big problem with the team. Who have you seen give him juice on the field these first 2 games? There have been 2 guys.
15.
No, I'm sorry. It's like after a play, just going nuts, getting them. It's been Mahomes and Kelce. And it's like nobody else gets up and goes nuts. And usually that's the rookie with Pacheco.
Yeah.
Used to be that guy. And maybe he's done that on some plays. But, I mean, you see it from those 2 and kind of nobody else when it should be everybody else on the roster. Should be I'm excited to play with 87 and 15. Let's go. I'm going to bring the juice as well. And they've talked about it after each game. Like, these runs, I just feel like I got to get up and, give the team some energy.
Yeah.
Man, there's enough on his shoulders already, aside from being like, Mahomes has to be the juice guy every play as well?
Yeah, I think this is go ahead, Sterling.
I was just saying, you're not doing this in season, but I would love to see at some point Patrick under center. I would love to see legitimate play action.
He's had a couple. They go under center from time to time. They were under center.
That 4th down call is under center.
One of them.
The one that got stopped.
I guess one time.
It's more than that. There's been a few.
No, the one that got stopped was in shotgun.
Yeah, it was shotgun.
The one that they converted on
he was flanked.
No, the one they converted on was the spin to Kareem Hunt, who then went right up the middle.
I would love to see more under center with Patrick. I would love to see not enough.
Okay,
when have you seen play action like Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff or Justin Herbert week 1? Is there some law that if you're a great quarterback, you're not allowed to run play action under center?
Yeah.
When have you seen Josh Allen do? I mean, like,
should they do it more often?
Yes,
probably. They did it a couple times in this game, but if they're doing it and guys aren't getting open, then what's the point of doing? I know that you're trying to keep the linebackers honest, but also do the linebackers have to worry about it when they don't have to worry about your running back whenever he's got the football? But yeah.
This is how the NFL works, right? The Chiefs got a great quarterback and had a terrible defense, so they spent a couple drafts getting the defense together, and this team's been carried by the defense for a couple of years. Meanwhile, the skill guys have gotten old, gotten hurt, left. Gotten suspended, had some bad luck come their way. And so now it's the shift of like, okay, and they've tried their best with the offensive line, had a couple bad picks, some bad luck there.
I mean, we might be talking about in November this team and saying, yeah, remember earlier when they were 0-2 and we were worried about this and that?
Yes.
Man, this thing is rolling now. Look at this offense. That's what they were missing was Worthy and Rice. Simmons has improved, and Kingsley's now playing guard at a higher level, and Jalen Moore's been inserted at right tackle, so there aren't the penalties and just inability to block at times. So now look at the defense is playing. Well, look, Noel Williams is coming along. Like, we may be having that conversation, but I will also acknowledge the flip side of, man, this offense just continues to look like they're playing in sand, and the defense isn't good enough overall to continue to hold teams to under 20 points every week.
And look, I can remember almost every year you've had this moment. The 21-year remember. I mean, they were toast. After that Titans game, that was like maybe a low point in Mahomes' career. And frankly, that team should have made the Super Bowl. They were up 18 points in the AFC Championship.
They were down by 24 points. They lost by 24 points.
27-3.
Yeah, 27-3 in that Titans
27-3. I can remember Mahomes' first year. Remember around Christmas, they lost the Seahawks. They lost 2 of 3 late to where, like, okay, the shine's not this team. They figured it out, and they're a hair away from making it to a Super Bowl. The year he got hurt, I mean, they dropped one to Green Bay.
Then they beat the Vikings with Matt Moore.
But he's hurt, and it's like, okay, it's just not going to come together this year. Came together. They were down by a ton in the playoffs. So adversities before. I mean, when you're in it, it feels like, oh, this is rock bottom. But so, like I said, 0-2 doesn't bother me. 0-3 against that team. Yeah, it's panic time.
And we'll go to break. We'll do Learn from His Best. I said the next 4 weeks, if we looked at this chunk of 4 games. Can you go 3-1 to be sitting 3-3? Yeah. Can you beat the Giants and Jags and then split Ravens-Lions? Yeah. And you're sitting 3-3?
I would almost at this point expect to beat the Lions. I know they put up a ton of points yesterday, but I mean,
and you could also go. Can you look at it into the bye week? Can you go 5-2 the rest of the way to the bye week and be sitting 5-4, getting ready for the second half of the season? That does, in theory, lighten up. Yeah. We'll see. Colts look better. You do have to go to Denver. Cowboys look like they're scoring a lot more points now. We'll see about the Texans.
Honestly,
tonight
you're
against
probably.
the Bucks.
I mean,
we'll see. But
you're just one game behind what most people predict you to be. To like, you go 4-0 in those, and you've made it back up. You're back on schedule to be the team that beats the over and the.
Hopefully,
the wins total in Vegas.
If Worthy's fully healthy in 2 weeks, Kyle Van Noy has already been said that he's going to be out multiple weeks with his bad hamstring strain.
Was that because the Chiefs didn't help him out? Did they not run out there quick enough for him?
I don't think it was the Chiefs that did that. But,
do you don't remember that?
I do remember that. Okay. Yes, I absolutely remember that. Kyle Van Noy last year, week 1.
His eye.
But yeah, he messed his hamstring up badly in the game yesterday, and he's already out multiple weeks. They're talking about short-term IR with Van Noy. So we ain't going to be out there in 2 weeks against the Chiefs. That helps out the offensive line. We'll see what happens. But yes, they can steal one back against the Ravens if you win that one, and you go 4-0 the next 4 weeks.
So
and you're like, wow, this team's 4-2 and better than what I thought of them just simply getting to 3-3.
They haven't played. I think it's been worse, but they haven't played much worse than they did in a lot of games last year.
Not wrong.
That 3rd and 14, if that gets snuffed out against the Chargers, there's a good chance they come back and win.
Kelsey dropped
yesterday. If that's a 14-point swing,
3rd and 10
that's
to
a
Devontae Smith.
At worst, a 10-point swing in a 3-point game where you've already missed a field goal. Kind of people forget about that. It was a bad missed field goal.
Yeah,
and just by a long way. And so it's funny. Last year, and a lot of the 23 year, we were talking about like a player here. Chiefs found a way to make the plays. They're kind of doing the same thing, and they didn't find a way the last 2 years.
It is back-to-back weeks, too, that Kelsey down at the goal line, because against the Chargers, he had a walk-in touchdown that he stopped running on, and Mahomes was like, what are you doing? And then this one, Mahomes did say he threw it a little bit quick. He did he did have a little bit more time. Mahomes did.
That's a tough catch, Sasha.
I mean,
you turned on. I mean,
people
your
are like,
right there.
how do you drop it? Like he's turning his head while the ball is getting. That's tough, man, to catch that ball. I think it was both sides. Could he have got his head turned quicker? Certainly, yeah. Once he sees that he's going that way, it did take him a step and a half before he started to turn his head. Where Mahomes is like, oh, I could have waited, or Mahomes is going, yeah, I could have waited, but I expected him right as he cut to turn his head to look at me and not wait another tick longer to turn his head.
The most of that was just bad luck.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a 360 degrees where that ball could have bounced. Yes. It goes right into the numbers.
It hits his hand and goes down. I mean, the ball that McDuffie knocked in the air against A.J. Brown, if it's knocked in the air a foot higher than one of the
they had a couple that were just floating.
Then the Chiefs get it, and they don't score a touchdown on that drive. I mean, they scored a touchdown on that drive, and that would have been an interception, getting the ball right back. So those things happen. But yeah, they're a couple plays away from being 2-0. They were a couple plays away from being, 12-5 last year. Mm-hmm. And so they're 0-2 right now. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, learn funniest best next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Mick Schaefer. As we continue rolling along, let's get into some learned funniest best from the weekend. What I learned this weekend, guys, is that Jacob Luke at Missouri State. Well, I also learned that Johnny's Tavern is 17% off with specialty pizzas today, dine-in only, because the Chiefs got 17 points.
Correct.
So there you go. 17% off for Johnny's Tavern is today. And then next week, I think it's going to be 42% off.
Let's hope.
Because it's the amount of points the Chiefs score. So there have been lots of years on Mondays after a Chiefs game when we've been talking about, this is a heck of a deal. There was even a couple where it's like, if you go in and buy one, get one. That's awesome. 17% off, though. Still a good deal to go in there and get some good pie at Johnny's Tavern. What I learned was Jacob Luke at Missouri State, as they were playing SMU over the weekend, and by the way, led SMU 10-0. So stop the count.
Yeah.
Missouri State's up 10-0. Jacob Luke has thrown 5 touchdown passes, or thrown touchdowns to 5 different players. The age of those players when Jacob Luke was a freshman in college: 16, 16, 14, 13, and 12. He has thrown a touchdown pass this year to somebody who was 12 years old when he was a freshman in college.
Wow.
12-year-old. It's Jacob Luke's 7th year in college. But he hit a guy for a touchdown who was 12 years old when he got on campus at Minnesota. So that's one of the things that I learned from this weekend. Sterling, what did you learn?
Well, one, I learned that Learn Funniest Best is presented by Neutral.
Is that what you learned?
Keep it tasty. No, I knew that. But keep it tasty on game day, made with real vodka and real juice.
You should have learned that earlier.
Neutral is the ultimate game day drink, but you kept talking, so I had to give it a little
part
second.
of the job.
But Neutral, I actually was crushing some Neutrals on Sunday. Helped me feel better about that Chiefs loss, and it really helps me on Saturdays for Chiefs game day. You feel good.
Yeah.
Right? 100 calories.
I will take your
no
word for
sugar added, and it's not a smattering of flavor like other seltzers. It hits you, and it's a good hit. That's Neutral, baby.
There you go.
I learned. Let me go back to my learned, actually.
Yeah, go to your learned.
Oh, yeah, I learned here. I learned that the Jets are 2 scoops of ass. Steelers-Jets game tricked us. We got tricked. Remember that game week 1?
I didn't think they were good.
Jets-Steelers. Well, I go, okay, maybe Justin Fields figured something out here. He looks pretty good. That's a good Steelers defense. And I go, well, you know what? Steelers might be good, too. Look how good Aaron Rodgers looked. And, wow, they put up 34 points on a Jets defense that I think is pretty good. Wow, I'm impressed. No, both teams are horrible. Why did I get fooled? The Steelers, I've been bamboozled because Aaron Rodgers looked atrocious against the Seahawks. Seahawks went through the Steelers defense like a hot butter. Or hot knife through butter, or a hot butter. Who cares?
Hot
it was
butter
melting
through
around
knife.
him.
Yeah.
It was a cake. It was a cake.
If you get that butter hot enough, it could slice through a knife.
Right
through
a knife.
anything.
Yep, right through a
And
knife.
then the Jets just got absolutely destroyed. I mean, what are we doing here? I got fooled, so I learned that the Jets and the Steelers are both really, really bad.
One's 1 scoop of ass, and the other's the other scoop out of the 2 scoops.
Steelers are 1 scoop, and the Jets are 2 scoops.
What if the Jets come back and win like 3 or 4 in a row? Will they have fooled you again?
I would have been fooled again. I'll learn
Bamboozled
that
again? Okay.
I'll have been bamboozled. But
Okay.
until then, as we sit on September 15th, those 2 teams, Sterling stamp of ass. They're bad.
Sterling stamp of ass. Okay.
awesome.
There we go. Got it.
They're derriere.
Okay. Right. That makes sense. Mick, what'd you learn?
I learned that you can have a single college football game that takes place at 2 different stadiums in the same day. Division III, it was Case Western Reserve. They're out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
And Indiana-based Wabash. Wabash is nicknamed the Little Giants, by the way. That's their D3 school. So
love it.
It jumped out to like a 21 game at halftime. Storms came in. Second half got started. After just a minute of action, lightning and heavy rain moved and forced a lengthy weather delay. They'd already have one. School officials got together. They're like, what if we moved the game to nearby Crawfordsville High School, just 2 miles away, 5-minute drive south? They looked at the radar. It was fine there. So they packed up both teams. Fans and coaches and players loaded in the buses, probably more players than fans, I'm guessing, a D3 game. Both teams went to this high school and finished the game. Nobody scored in the third quarter, probably because they'd moved venues and weren't fresh. But in the fourth quarter, I think it ended up being like a 38-28 game for Case Western getting the win. I didn't know you could play 2 football games in 2 separate venues in the same day, but it happened.
How about that?
There you go.
I like that. Michael, what did you learn over the weekend?
I learned that Josh Simmons might be the best athlete on the field. You guys mentioned it earlier. He hit a top speed of 18 miles an hour on that chase down tackle. And in addition to that impressive tackle, which maybe he shouldn't have made, he had 36 pass rush snaps or pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed, 0 sacks allowed. So for all of the concerns that we've had about this Chiefs team, we haven't been talking about our rookie left tackle, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's nice.
Put him a D end. That's two
Or
people saying
defensive
put him a
tackle.
D end.
Yeah, that's
Some
what
folks
Sterling's
are saying.
talking about.
Some folks are saying.
Would he be worse at defensive tackle than Derek Nottie? No, of course he wouldn't be worse at defensive tackle than Derek Nottie. I do have a bit of advice for the Chiefs and Joe Cole on defensive line, Spags, and even Derek Nottie. What if you put cleats on Derek Nottie and took his skates off on the field? If you took the skates off and put cleats on, would that help?
Skates are dangerous too.
Would that help him on the field? I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it goes against conventional wisdom to wear skates out there like Derek Nottie is on the field. That's just what I'm going with. Sterling, funniest from the weekend for you?
I thought that it was Kurt Benkert and Will Compton actually agreeing with Chiefs Twitter.
Yeah, that was
I
pretty
thought
funny.
that was like what happens now? Does the world end? We finally found agreement. But yeah, Kurt Benkert and Will Compton both talking about the Eagles fall starting every single time and then agreeing with Chiefs Kingdom. Kurt even put out a tweet of something that was like, that's badass, of watching Patrick bulldoze that guy. I'm like, what is it? Are we in another dimension here? Because those guys are maybe the 2 biggest Chiefs haters on the X.
Yeah. What was the funniest for you, Mick?
At one point, I think it's at 10-13 on Saturday. The Big 12 was undefeated at 7-0. I don't know if they finished undefeated that day. And so the Big 12, Barstool Big 12 put out, the Big 12 is 7-0 undefeated today. And one of the main Oklahoma State fan accounts put out a little cutout of the schedule for Oklahoma State that said 9-13 bye week. And then it had the meme of, I did my part. So Oklahoma State did their part of having a bye in helping the Big 12 be undefeated at that point.
I did my part. I did my part.
I didn't do.
I didn't do bleep and bleep. Robinson. What was the funniest for you, Michael?
My funniest was watching K-State Twitter meltdown after that loss, and I don't understand the outrage and the calls for firing Chris Kleiman. He had him win the Big 12 championship like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was dumb. It's been a rough start, but yeah, I'm with you on the calling for him to be fired. My funniest from the weekend is a couple things in the NFL, and it has to do with the kicking game, and it has to do with the Indianapolis Colts game. It's that the Denver Broncos lose to the Chiefs last year by the Chiefs blocking a field goal, and then the Denver Broncos would have beaten the Colts yesterday if they just didn't use leverage by trying to leap over the center, and the guy actually putting his left hand on the center to try to jump higher, which is leverage. It hasn't been called in 15 years or whatever, and Broncos fans trying to then get around the rule and explain somehow that it wasn't against the rules there, and then Sean Payton saying that he had to do it over. If he had to do it over again, he wouldn't have made that call because using that particular kick block is something you should do on chip shots that they're going to make anyway to try to get a block, not on a longer field goal to win the game. So apparently it was something that Sean Payton specifically called that kick block, where the Chiefs just simply said, hey, Leo Chanel, go block that kick against the Broncos. And also pretty funny that there's only one team this year that has not punted in the first 2 weeks of the season. Not a single punt by the Colts.
Well, there's usually 0 teams 2 weeks in the season that have not punted, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you said there's only one. Like there should be more.
No. There's only. Sorry, there is one.
There is one.
Yes,
it's
there's
amazing.
Actually,
right?
There's actually one team in the NFL that has not punted. I shouldn't say there's. Yeah, there's.
Is this 2003 Indianapolis when playing the Chiefs in the playoffs?
Daniel Jones.
How dare you?
They have gone for 5 fourth downs, but they have not punted yet.
That's wild.
All right, best for you, Mick.
Best for me. So my wife, she teaches 4th grade. And they have a hamster that's a pet, and they get out and play with it all the time. This hamster's been around for a while. We had it We have it every summer at our house. There's once a summer I'm like, this one's dead. It's
Oh, no.
dead. Snoopy's gone, and
That's your best.
I'll like dig him out, and he'll like put his nose out. I'm like, oh, we're still going strong. Snoopy wasn't doing good. Week ago, Snoopy died.
Oh.
That's not the best.
Okay.
But the fourth graders on their own organized the next day at school. They showed up wearing all black, like it's a funeral. My wife's like, I had nothing to do with this.
Good for them.
So rest
your
in
love.
peace, Snoopy.
There
Had a
you go.
great life in a
There you go.
cage.
Michael, best?
My best is that the Chiefs get to play football next week.
There you go. My best is Ken Broussard, LSU freshman. His lifelong dream was to play tuba in the marching band at LSU. He retired. He's 63 years old and decided to go to LSU, and he's a tuba player in the marching band at LSU.
That's amazing. Ahmad Hardy, Mizzou running back, second in all of college football, only behind Robert Henry of UTSA.
Roadrunners.
Ahmad Hardy, though, 462 yards, 8.1 yards average, and 5 touchdowns.
He wasn't in neutral, I'll tell you that. All right, thank you, Sterling. Well done today. Michael killed it. Mick,
How was
nice
I?
job. You were pretty good. Yeah, you were serviceable.
Sterling killed it, and I was just okay.
Michael killed it. Sterling did a good job. You were all right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's go.
We're all going to wake up tomorrow with the Raiders 2-0 in first place in the AFC West. Crazy. Crazy world.
Sign me up for that.
Because I think the Raiders are going to be 2-0.
Reel them in.
All right. We'll see what happens. It's right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.